pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this is the regular City Council meeting in the City of Cross Lake, Monday, October 9th at 7 p.m. We have got one approval. I guess we've got some bills also. We've got some bills for additions to the agenda. And we've got Ideal Township Transfer Station support for Sourcewell grant. Those two topics. Can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the additions.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay, any other conversation? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All in favor. Our first public forum, action may or may not be taken on the issue raised. If council requires more information or time for consideration, the issue will be placed on the next agenda. Speaker must state their name and address. Does anybody have anything?
Hey, Warren, that'd be your time to come up right now.
My name is Warren Stock. I live at 13421 Island View Lane, Cross Lake. I apologize for my words.
You're okay. Yep, we're good.
Okay, I've asked I've gone through the process. Island View Lane is a public street, not a city street. And so I've gone through the processes over the last couple of years. And so what we did is we brought our street, my neighbors, there's 9 families, 36 people on our street. We brought it up to what I would call city specifications. We took out the telephone poles, brought in new class 5, 18 feet wide. What we couldn't do is we couldn't make a turnaround, and we couldn't meet the 66-foot easement that the city now requires. And I question that just from a perspective as I don't think any streets in the city of Cross Lake have a 66-foot easement. I checked on the map, and there's 28 streets in Cross Lake today that are dead ends, no circle. My understanding was in 1990, everyone had the choice to bring their streets up to standards and be city streets or remain public. 33 years ago. I wasn't here and none of you were here. Okay. Judging from this here paper I received about the road improvements, I can understand the pushback on adding any more city streets to the city of Cross Lake based on the cost of this improvement plan. But I'd like the city council to remember that this road has been brought up to city standards, no cost to the city. The next time it'll need to be redone will be 2058. I'll be gone, you'll be gone. We'll let our grandkids worry about it.
2058?
2058. This road should last 35 years like the rest of yours have lasted. So it's a brand new road. It's the first one done. You have 55 miles of road, I read, and then you'll have 55 miles and 2 blocks. Okay. As far as the snow plowing issue, I wanted to thank staff for all of their help through this process. I met the Public Works Director and a snow plow guy. We did have 2 what I thought were workable options to be able to plow the road. And so I'm asking from this perspective, one last thing that I wanted to note is that I was here 3 months ago, and I wanted to thank the staff and the police department and our first responders that I'm still standing here today. My biggest concern, and keep in mind that Cross Lake is an elderly community, is if that same thing had happened in February and my road hadn't been plowed, I wouldn't be standing here today. We would not be able to get an ambulance down. My understanding is the backup plan is if a road's unplowed, we wait for Public Works Department to send out a snowplow. I live on the other end of town. Everyone knows how crucial those initial minutes are when we have a medical emergency or a fire. So from that perspective, I'm asking for the same, you know the word, services from that perspective is that everyone in Cross Lake gets. That's all I have.
Okay, Warren, I got a couple comments for you. I did drive your road this morning. I went over there.
Okay.
Who said that it was built to city standards?
Okay. So I had Anderson Blacktop,
Yeah.
which is the same ones that you use, and I spoke directly with the man, and I said we need this brought up to whatever the city standards are. And so my understanding is we have a 6-inch, a brand new 6-inch Class 5 base, and we have 3.5 inches of commercial grade blacktop, not residential. We have the big stones. I think that the Public Works Department did see it. I was told that it only needed to be 14 feet wide, but we made it 18 because we didn't have a turnaround, and I was trying to be the best I could do to fit it into everyone's area and be able to turn a truck around. I have plowed it the last years, but as I'm not going to be able to do that much longer.
Oh, come on, Warren.
Pardon?
Don't give up.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's another
You've got
story.
a lot of plows left in you.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Oh, Warren, are you asking that the Public Works at the city plow your road? Is that what we're?
I'd like it, okay, I'd like it to be plowed, and I'd also like it to be, you know, one of the things about it being a city street is now that, you know, if I call the police officers, all of those city ordinances that you have in place that protect the road from overweight in the spring, and all of those things that are in place, I have none of those protections. So as we spent the money for the road, somebody wants to drive a dump truck down the road over concrete, I don't have any of those protections. So the snow plowing is important from one perspective and the safety, but the other is we'd like our investment protected just like we try to protect all of our streets investment that we all make as taxpayers and members of our community. So I'm also looking for the protection process of that.
And at the Public Works meeting, you expressed some parking concerns, parking on the road.
That's, right, and the parking is the parking, you know, I'm not the RoboCop.
Well, when you're trying to plow the road, it is. Yeah.
If you try to plow a road, it is hard.
Yeah.
I explained to the Public Works Department that if I say move your car, and at the meeting I flipped everybody off, but I won't flip you off.
Go ahead. It's early in the meeting. Let's get it going.
Okay, sorry. It's a construction guy. But I you know,
So am I.
I don't have the man in blue, and I don't have the same thing when a loaded truck goes down my road. I don't have any of those capabilities of protecting our investment and our community that every other city.
So I want to ask these guys a question on that. Jake, could you guys go down there and do any kind of enforcement on that public road? Yeah, parking, or, I mean, they could post it, no parking on the road. They could.
If it's not a public street, we won't be able to do anything.
But it kind of
So what I've been told.
is a public street. I mean, it's got a name.
Yeah,
Is that
all
not-
streets have names, but
Yeah.
it doesn't make
Okay.
them public. They have names because there's more than one house down it.
Right.
So they have to
I
name
just
them.
don't know how that
Yeah.
reads.
What I was told on that is, as long as the vehicles aren't blocking an emergency vehicle, there isn't anything they can do. It's not a city street. I think that's the message I got back from the chief and the officer who looked at vehicles in the past. If emergency vehicle can get down that street, place, even though the road's 18 feet wide.
Yeah.
So, like I say, I just want to get this plowed and more for the protections that all of the city streets have in.
Protection and access, to be able to get in there.
Right.
So Patrick, now he just said that you went down there with him and looked at plowing and that you indicated that it was a doable thing.
No, it's really not, because we discussed where Mr. Warren said that we could do is plow the snow into it'd be his driveway on the one garage, because he doesn't use it in the winter. But when Mr. Warren isn't here in 30, 40 years, and goes to somebody else, then we lose the place to push the snow.
Okay.
That's the problem with it that we had discussed earlier. We talked about maybe going down to the public landing, but that's only, what, 8 foot wide?
10.
And it's pretty narrow going down there. It just really was no feasible good avenue, because if we go down the bottom where the landing is, we're gonna tear that all up. There's rock and grass down there, and the plow trucks will destroy it.
So I guess my,
You could make enough room to turn around, but
Yep.
there's just no,
okay.
we're gonna destroy it every year we go down, there's the problem.
See, Warren, where we get in trouble is we take on something like this and then it ends up costing the city a fortune to try to make it workable.
I understand, and I understand the concern for pushing it in. Okay, keep in mind that the city has 8-foot easement on each side of the road, so there's 8 feet to push the snow. I mean, so that's a lot of places to put snow. And I was on 8 other streets that are plowed, and to be really honest, I commend you for being able to figure out a place to put that snow. This was pretty easy. As far as the landing down below, I'll put it to you in a different way, because I thought about that, is, so if we tear up a little grass and we fix it each year, is it worth a life? Okay, is it worth that 30 minutes that we have to wait for the ambulance? Is it worth it? And I'm standing here kind of messed up, knowing that I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for the great responders, but I think we should take a look at the rest of the streets too. Make sure that we are making sure that our emergency responders can get to these people in case of that. These things are real.
Yeah, no,
Warren, did you say that there are 9 other homes on this?
I'm sorry.
Did you say there were 9 other?
There's
homes?
nine homes on my street.
Have you tried to get everyone together to chip in to do the plowing yourselves? I mean,
Well, to be honest, I paid for most of the road and I plow, and most of my neighbors are very elderly, and I have resources, so I use them. Okay. We could hardly get them to pay for the road. I'm not going to get them to plow, and that's really not. It's not really my job as far as right. I pay taxes, and I'm here, and I'm going to pay for or help pay for all of these roads to be redone, which is fine. I don't mind paying my fair share. I would just like to be on the list the next time this comes around, that our road is on it too. I've taken it off the list this time because we weren't here 33 years ago and on the list. But 33 years from now, I want to get on the list.
you're a patient man.
I've been working really hard.
Okay, I don't think we're going to take any action on this tonight, but I would encourage the rest of the council to go look at the road
Okay.
and to talk to Patrick about it,
Okay,
to get a little background on
I wanted
that.
to thank everybody for the, staff and all of the people that have helped me through this process. Thank you.
thanks, Warren.
Anybody else? Not seeing any movement. We're going to close public forum. Next, the consent calendar. All items here listed are considered to be routine by the city council and will be acted on one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a citizen or a council member so requests.
What if I want to ask about one bill? Do I have to pull the whole thing, the claims? I will. Okay, I'll pull it.
Just pull it right now.
I don't know.
Okay. I just have a question about the WSN Cross Lake promotional video. for $5,000.
Well, there you go, Shar. I set you up for that.
This was a couple years
Oh, I
ago.
did. It was,
Jim Anderson was working with the Initiative Foundation for a promotional video for Cross Lake to show all the little projects that have been done in Cross Lake. And we are just finally getting the bill from WSN, and it was paid for by a grant from the Initiative Foundation for $5,000.
Yeah, what this is, it's the, no,
we authorized it a couple years ago.
they'd started working on that a couple of years ago. We got the grant money about a year ago when they figured out what they're going to do. This is the first phase where they did the drone footage and they collected the data to put the information together. Now, one little thing that happened during that process was the Loon Center got delayed and decided to move to a different location. This was also, actually TJ worked on the grant application with Jim Anderson and I. And the Initiative Foundation gave us the money to put towards this project, basically as a pass-through. So it's not done yet. So the first part of it's been paid for, and more to come. But it didn't cost us a dime. In fact, we made a
Marcia,
little
I
money
asked
on
the
it.
same question, and that was something we talked about a couple years ago, and I do recollect that. And it is a grant. It does not cost.
That's fine, I had no knowledge about it, and I just wondered why we were doing it.
Any other questions on the consent calendar? A motion to approve?
I move to approve all items on the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries, all in favor. Next, the mayor and council members' report. Number one is a resolution accepting donations. We got donations from the Pell Foundation for $1,450 for the Pine River Overlook, and again from the Pell Foundation for $75.92 for the Halloween party. So we need a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the donations.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, all in favor. Alden, we have the pleasure of your company again tonight.
Thank you. We'd like to provide an update of where we are on the Pine River Overlook Park. And TJ has some pictures, so we'll start with that. But just to remind you, last November, we came to the council and asked for your approval. And now, less than a year, we have something to show. I think that's really a very fast response. And we'll talk about why that happened. So good. TJ, why don't you tell us about the park now, where it's at?
Sure, I'll just run through these photos real quick. I visited this site today and I took pictures and then I compared them to our past few months of our construction. Here you have our park sign that lists the rules. And then back in 10/20 of 2022, that is the raw site before we did any work. And then you'll see August 30th, we completed the pavement. That's the parking lot, and then we have the trail that goes to the pavilion. Here you'll see work being done by Anderson Brothers on the top section. That was on the 23rd of August, and on the bottom again, it was the finished product on August 30th. Top left, you'll see October 20th of 2022. Again, raw site, had no work done to it. We'll jump forward to August 29th, 2023. We framed up the slabs, and then over on September 20th, we assembled the picnic tables and then prepped for seed. September 21st, I had my guys hydro-seed all the areas that we disturbed, and then I took pictures today what it currently looks like, and it's growing in pretty nicely. Mm-hmm. Here you'll see the old storage garage that we had redesigned and redeveloped into a pavilion. So we were able to use existing resources and create a park pavilion out of a storage garage. Here's the inside of the pavilion with 2 picnic tables. I'll have Alden take it over from here.
My visit today showed a very peaceful, restful site. Mowed grass, nice tables, beautiful scene of the river, really something special. And we'd like to thank the Cross Lake community for this. Here we have something that's a legacy for the future, done by our people in a very short order. Missing in the pictures you showed is the kayak loading dock. We have that, but the river was too low to put it in this year. Now it's high, but it's too late. But we'll count on that next year. That was the centerpiece, and it's not there, but it will come. First, I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for giving your support and approval right away from the beginning. And every time we've come here, it's always been a positive response. You provided the leadership that allowed the community to focus on this project. And we appreciate that. The community appreciates that. I'm familiar with a lot of other projects that don't get done in months, but in years. Thinking back, the library took 7 years. We just put solar panels on the Lutheran Church. That took 8 years. Things aren't done in monthly things, except if we got a live wire community and a live wire leadership group. And I think the community thanks you guys for this. Because things happen.
We thank you, Alden.
Yeah.
Jerry Voss and Joel Knippel figured out this thing with this old garage. And we were talking about demolition, or maybe trying to sell it to be hauled away from somebody. And now you look at it, it looks pretty nice. Jerry said to me, you know, it's much more creative to take some old building and make something good out of it than tearing down and starting over. And they did this. So we thank those guys and the volunteers that worked with them. What a neat thing to have here. Many supporters, over 60, contributed $500, and we'll recognize them on the plaque. And this made this possible. And it came fast. In my memory, came here, sometimes we had $4,000, sometimes we had more. And every time we spoke for the council, we got more money came in. Members of the council and the mayor helped us too, and so we appreciated that. And the community appreciates that. This was gifted by all donations. PAL doesn't have money themselves. They get money from people. And this happened in our community. What a unique thing. What a nice place we have here. Think about that. You know, it isn't arguing about, well, this isn't a good place, just do it some other year. We don't have budget. It came. We got to thank TJ for that vision, looking at that area and saying, this could be a nice green spot. And it is. And his staff made this possible. We thank Public Works and the Park Department for their guys who did a lot of the work. And that's why we're able to build this with such a small amount of money and so fast. And so it's something I think all our community to be proud of, and a legacy to open up kind of new sport for us. You know, and the community can now have a kayak place, tubes can be loaded, assuming the river is high, and we can't control that. All $500 donors will be on the plaque, and we're holding it open if some more people would like to donate. And then by March, we'll define it. Our plan is to have the grand opening next Memorial Day, and TJ will have the grass growing by that time. And so, but I think we all can be proud. This is a special time for Cross Lake, and special things that happen in our community and happen often. And so it's a nice place to live. So PAL Foundation would like to thank the community for making this possible. So thank you, guys.
And a big thanks back to you.
Alden, you mentioned that you're taking more donations, so are there more projects within this project that need to be, you know, financed?
Yes, we'll have some what we call second phase things. TJ has some good ideas, and some of them are small. You know, the roof, kind of rough looking, and it would be nice to fix that up. And he would put epoxy paint on the floor and a few other projects like that. And he's talked about maybe putting some trails around the area so we can use that tax forfeiture land, you know, for people to visit. And maybe the trails would be tarred so people could push wheelchairs on them. And so, yes, we'll have a second phase.
Okay.
And again, we count the community to help us. But I think we can be really proud of where we are now.
Well, it looks beautiful. I've been down there, and it's really turned out nicely, so.
I think so. I think the whole community can be proud. And the community did this.
Yeah.
So.
I think for the grand opening, you need to show us how the kayak launch works.
Now, you have to understand, some of us a little older than others. We're more of the watcher style.
The bench setters.
Thank you.
Alden, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jonathan, you ready?
All right. Town Hall was held on Friday, September 29th during Cross Lake Days, and I'm here as a representative of the Cross Lakers to present a summary of the comments received from that meeting specific to the roadway enhancement, the sidewalk project, and possibly some specific motions to do with that. Let's talk about that later. I'm not here to talk about the Loon Center, the proposed bike path, or the school board presentation that was also presented at that meeting. The Cross Lakers, along with Bolton Mink, the project engineers, presented current plans for the project, ideas for the boulevard, sidewalk, roundabout upgrades to landscape, hardscape, and other enhancement ideas. The goal of this town hall was to get public input and finalize any enhancement elements that could affect the completion of the drawings for the project, keeping the engineers on track without delays. We received several helpful comments and ideas. I compiled a list that put into your packet so you can see all the specifics from Post-it notes and comment cards that we had at that meeting. Got a few photo things if we could turn this on. Okay, let's see. Looks like right about there. Okay. The roundabout center landscape design comments overall favored natural landscape elements needing minimal maintenance. Things like larger trees, sort of what's natural to the area, or something similar to this without the boulders that is a negative from the county. So, the idea of a welcome sign near the roundabout rather than in the roundabout itself was well received. This kind of in this area, this is coming from the south. You see the center of the roundabout and having maybe a gateway sign or an element. Could be a sculptural element of some kind, or another version of a sculptural element that fits some of the things going on.
That's not a loon, is it, Jonathan?
That one is. But I can't get it. I've tried to get that thing. It's actually made out of pieces of junk they dredged out of the Mississippi River. So
all I can think of is the Sanford and Son theme.
I recognize that keg of beer with the bullet holes in it.
Yeah, so, and you know, an element in this area or a sign, it could even be the back to the old beauty spot of Minnesota. But a selfie station could be also at this point because it is away from the center of the roundabout and would be protecting people from it. Sidewalk enhancement comments supported things like shaded areas with benches so people can sit along the way. I showed this, which is bollard lighting along the walkway, and that was there was not a consensus of having lighting along the sidewalk itself. That was not something that was positive. So saves money, isn't necessary according to what we're hearing. But they do like the idea of enhancing some seating areas, changing the overall lighting to more of a decorative lighting, that something similar to what we have in the city elsewhere. although I think there are 3 different kinds of things that we found already. Maybe adding some banners or something possible to the stands of those. So there was a lot of great support on things. There were questions as to why trees can't be planted in the boulevard, which was another county design situation, and questions arose about plowing snow to keep the walk open all winter. So there is a desire to have it open for walking, but not necessarily to have extra lighting for it. The boulevard itself, between the sidewalk and the roadway, we had several comments about the maintenance of the boulevard, and overall support was in favor of natural landscape elements. Maybe a lower natural plantings or ornamental grasses, something to distinguish the difference between the sidewalk and the roadway and having something in between. But there was also support for having more of a colored concrete pavers, something in that area too. This would be this again without the trees. Again, we can't have that because of county rules. So,
Jonathan, can you have like intermittent, like you showed that one picture of the bench with some trees around the bench. Would the county allow that?
well, the situation is we are actually adding, I believe, 9 feet to the right-of-way by changing how we are having the curb and how things are. So there is actually part of the right-of-way that is to the, I'll say, the inside of the sidewalk. So there is possibility of planting trees, and there definitely was desire to have that in there also. But yeah, actually, my next statement here. There was a support to having shade trees, if not in the boulevard, but on the inner side of the walk. And why the sidewalks may be plowed, the question arose to the plowing of the actual boulevard itself. Do we really need to plow a boulevard for one day a year? We have a place for people to sit to watch the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Overall comments were in line with, as one person stated, do not blow the beautification to save a few dollars. We get one chance to get this right. Trees, native plants, and color are all important. There was a consensus to having colored, stamped, or textured concrete that Bolton Mink showed in the median strips and around the roundabout. And that would be these areas coming into the roundabout and the outer circle of the actual roundabout itself. That seemed to get the best appearance, to have an enhanced appearance with colored concrete there. And I do feel that the project needs to have a consistency of materials from the roundabout all the way up to Bald Eagle Trail. And if we do have hardscape, it should be contrasting both roadway and sidewalk. We received a lot of comments about varied comments about specific ideas, but there was a total agreement about the enhancement of what I continue to call the Andy's parking lot. Everybody I spoke to on Friday was unanimously in favor of the design, adding landscape and additional parking stalls. And I've heard similar comments from others before. I know I presented some of this a few months ago. Just to update you here, the overall Andy's parking lot, Andy's here, coffee shop, and going up to the north, Holiday would be at the far north of this. This is what's existing. We have the potential to do some larger landscaping, like this type of thing, in an area that would be these areas here between the new roadway and the parking lot. Change some parking striping and actually gain parking stalls in this area. What it does do is it takes out an access point in here. And that's where you come in on this, is this first access point is what we're looking at eliminating, which would actually then mean this turn lane doesn't have to start till later on also. The elimination of this access and the parking lot changes needs to come from the city council. It's not a county project, it's not a county parking area. So I'm looking to have a motion made from you today to agree to the elimination of the parking lot access at the north to the current lot, and then adjust the parking, stall striping, and layout to become more cohesive parking lot, kind of one more cohesive parking lot, and then incorporate the parking area into the overall project design and request for additional funding associated with the redesign. Then, as I mentioned before, about a gateway element, there's an area in this section that's over by the Chamber's current office that it was well received to do something in that area. It would not have to be something that has to happen during this project. It could be added at any time. But if we don't set aside an area for some kind of signage, sculpture, whatever that might be, it may become a retention area or something else. So in this area here, excuse me, I'd like to have consensus from council to set aside an area that could be allowed for a gateway entrance to the city here.
Hey, Jonathan, is that Chamber of Commerce building for sure going now? Because I remember it was always up in the air.
As far as I know, there will not be a change to the building. It may change who utilizes it.
Okay, you're just talking the area.
I'm just talking kind of the green space.
Okay.
It's more towards the intersection.
Perfect.
Not that it would necessarily change the building, but it does allow, as I showed earlier, you know, some kind of an element that could be a new city signage, could be something else, but it kind of welcomes you to the city. It, again, is an element that sort of is more of a public piece than it is a private piece that you see as you're coming to the businesses there.
Is there a sidewalk on that side of the road?
Yeah, there'll be
up to the historical or something?
Yeah, the sidewalk will continue all the way down to the entrance to the historical, and I believe what's planned is that the historical parking lot, the access will come farther to the south. So the gateway that they have will actually be where the sidewalk comes into this. As far as they can tell, you can't move that sign without destroying it, so it'll be more like an archway over the walkway.
So, Jonathan, have you talked to the Army Corps about all this that we're proposing to do on their property?
As far as I've heard with things, and as it's gone through our conversations in other meetings, that this is not something that they would be concerned about changing. I mean, they're treating it kind of like it's a lease, and I believe that's with the city, not with the business owners.
Okay, yeah.
And so changing the lot to having more landscape is somewhat similar to putting the roundabout in and things that way.
So is she supportive of it, as far as you know?
As far as I can say, yeah. I wish Corrine was here, but.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about doing a lot of changes on their place, so.
Have you talked to Andy's about how they feel about the change in the parking lot and?
Cindy had some conversations with some of the owners, and I believe Andy's, and what I've heard is they want more parking. They don't care about the rest, you know. Yeah. So it's kind of I guess the other thing that happened with this that is a somewhat of a concern with the business owners is that currently people come in and they use this as a thoroughfare. And if we can make it more parking lot, it should slow people down a little while they're in there. And so it is a benefit from a different side, and they like it for that part too. But businesses all wanted more parking.
Wasn't there also a feeling that eliminating that one earlier access would create a safer driving situation there?
Yeah, what it is it's this access point right here. And that hasn't been a an issue with comments from people there.
Okay.
What about, how does Holiday feel about it?
I was just
Because
gonna
that's
say-
gonna open up the only access point will be at the end by Andy's and then into Holiday Station.
And you're going to be jammed up by the pumps.
Let's see, if I,
Yeah, right now, they've got about 3 accesses into Holiday, and that wouldn't hurt to get that cut down some also.
what,
It's going to jam it up.
what currently goes on is you've got the Holiday Station and the canopy here. The access point is actually right through this location. That access might shift a little bit to the south, but basically it's coming through an area that is virtually a drive lane currently, which if that happens, it does not change the parking that's up against the Realtors building here or the parking that's up against the Holiday Station itself. And it actually leads back to this back parking lot area, and it actually will lead in closer to the location of where the Loon Center is. And may end up that that back parking will be utilized by visitors to the Loon Center. So I think it actually consolidates things more and kind of leads you directly more. So.
Jonathan, am I correct? I think you said 9 additional spaces?
Yeah, I'll put it as it'll gain green space, it'll gain parking stalls. I won't guarantee that it's 9 stalls.
Okay.
What I have shows 9.
Okay.
But when you get final drawings and, final edges moving and things like that, I can't say that it's going to be 9 spaces.
Then a couple more questions I've got. In the roundabout itself, I'm assuming there's lighting?
Yes.
Okay. How, trees and stuff in there, do we have access to water and electricity to all this stuff?
Yeah, the current plan, which would be outside of any added expense from the county, is to have power to be able to do other lighting. It actually will not have, as far as I know, it will not have the lighting standards in the roundabout. They'll be around the edge of it more.
The
around
outside,
that
okay.
way.
Well, as long as it's
But
lit,
there will
that's
be
fine.
power there, so you could do holiday lighting or things that way. And there is access from the chamber building to bring water for irrigation over. And both of those are planned by the county within the project currently.
So they would run it underground and bring it,
Yeah,
okay.
that's outside of any
That
emissions.
answers my questions. Thank you.
I know we keep saying doing a sign on the outside, but Nisswa, their roundabout has a sign in the middle. Has the county changed their position since they did that, or what's the rationale?
Actually, they will allow the city to put a sign in there. You cannot put in private signage. Gosh, no, I can't think of the name. Grandview Lodge did that one. They wanted to put a sign for Grandview Lodge. That, because it's county right-of-way, isn't acceptable to have private signage in there. The city, if they want to put a Cross Lake sign in the middle, that's fine. The advantage of being over to the side would be that you're not getting people who want to stop and get their picture. Here I am in beautiful Cross Lake kind of thing. So we're trying to keep people out, pedestrians out of the center. The walkways and crosswalks will all be going around the edge. I guess I'm looking for a couple of different things here, and you can lump them together or however you want to do it, but I'd like to propose some of these things, like I said before, about the Andes lot, and then a second motion might be to direct the engineers to set aside an area to allow for a gateway feature, and then the rest would be procurement of additional project funding for the beautification of the roundabout center, the colored stamped textured concrete for the roundabout edge and medians, request for additional beautification of the boulevard areas with low maintenance plantings, additional project funding for the sidewalk, which would be sidewalk, shade trees, seating areas, benches, and then additional funding for the decorative or upgraded lighting fixtures throughout the area. So,
So Jonathan, we don't have to address each of those individual, like, additional funding, but just
however you want to do it.
In general.
I'm just throwing out what's the areas I'm saying. So you can split that or however you want to do it.
And what you're asking us to do is to authorize the engineer to come back with pricing? It's not an open checkbook, it's
No. In fact, I thought that you had some from the last things, but we can go through some of that. The bigger part right now would be setting aside the area for Gateway and dealing with the Andes parking lot, because if this access point goes away, it can change a lot with how they do the road and can actually improve some things.
I get it.
So, and actually this green space also may be an area that they look at putting some retention in, so their groundwater runoff and everything might be different.
And somebody is going to come back later with some kind of budget numbers for what we're going to do?
Yeah, I think that Phil's got some numbers together, but I think we have to specifically look at what it is and maybe get a direction.
So let's deal with the Andes entrance and the sign space right now. Does somebody want to make a motion on that?
I would very much like to make a motion to make those changes to Andy's parking lot. I've heard nothing but complaints about the lack of parking. If we can improve that and add some green space, I think that would be fantastic. So I would like to make that motion.
Can we use the word recommend the changes? Because it's a county project, and we don't have full authority on some of that. Some we do. I think on the access, we might. I think on the others, it's...
The access is really a city council. Here
comes Phil to help us all out.
I'll put it as they would like it to go away because it actually helps a lot of other things in the district.
Well,
the access, so the deal with the access is, so when we've gone through all of the public engagement we have done through this, we've taken all the comments, the good arrows and the bad arrows, if you will. It was always shown with 4 access points. And Tim and the county is not comfortable making that decision as the county to close one of those access points. So they have tasked Jonathan in talking with people that, is that something you truly want to do? Because closing that access point, that one in front of the realty business, actually does allow his parking schemes to work. But that takes a city decision because you're taking away.
Well, unfortunately, Sandy has stepped up and made that decision.
Yeah.
Or at
So
least
that's the whole thing. If you decide that goes away, and again, it's based on the assumption that due diligence was done to talk to people. Let's just say the worst thing that could happen is you make a decision, close it. Next meeting, people come forward like, what? What are you talking about? No one's ever heard of that before, right? So you just have to understand you're closing an access, and then the county will go forward and reshuffle some things, talk to other people like Holiday. Can we combine an access and still leave 3 remaining that fits your needs? So that your parking can be adjusted.
So I will second that motion.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on it?
Do you have some numbers?
All in favor? What? Oh, go ahead. You got something?
No, I just wondered, I just wish that Holiday and Andes would have been talked to first before you come and ask.
Well, I think they did talk to
that
whole realty down to Andes. Cindy and whoever talked to them. We haven't talked to Holiday or Pine Peaks because they're along 3 accesses. And what happens down here was with those properties. So we've let the Crosslakers and Jonathan deal with those groups.
Yeah,
okay.
The one at Holiday actually, there's 2 of them, one on each side of Holiday's pumps areas. Those we're not necessarily changing.
Right, we're not looking to change the next 3.
So we're not really affecting their part that way. The difference might be if we can bring the southernmost one of Holiday just slightly south.
So that
It's
people
in
that
a
were going.
slightly odd area because it takes you into the pumps more than to the drive lane that's actually there. So I think that could be improved on, and that may be more coming from the county.
Because there should be access into that parking area. I mean, if we're closing off that one access, is there going to be another one
Right.
just at the end of that parking lot? Because
Right. There-
really, you should have some kind of
There
access
is
into that
going to still
parking.
be the ability to, as I see it, if you close the access by the realty, that access by going into the southerly part of Holiday, it's the same access where the vegetable stand pops
Yeah.
up in the summertime.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be setups, and we'd work with Holiday and them to allow traffic to flow both to the right and to the left, or straight in.
because I'd hate to have people have to use the Holiday access in order to go down to like the Realtor or the coffee shop or Andy's. I mean, if you're going south.
Well, they won't be able to make that anyway,
They
because we're
won't.
gonna put a median that won't allow them to
Oh,
cross.
okay. That take care of that.
So Phil, just for clarification, the access into the Andy's parking lot off of County Road 3 is going to remain, right?
Yes.
So they'll be able to come in there and go
Yes.
out there.
It's that first right
Still.
heading north.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be able to, if you're going south, you're not going to be able to take a left into that parking lot. You're going to have to go down to County
You'll
Road 3
have
and
to
come
turn
back.
earlier at Pine Peaks or Holiday. You won't be able to
Holiday
go all the way
gas
down to
station.
that. Yeah, you won't have to be able to turn all the way down.
Because then you're going to have people
And then
driving
people are gonna
along.
wheel down that parking area. That's what Jonathan's kind of showing you there.
Yeah, the difference, this is the access point, I don't have it shown, but basically, if this was the break and this is the entrance in, Holiday's canopy would be there and the building back here. And there's currently a kind of a drive lane through here and some parking stalls against the side of the building there. Currently, this comes a little bit farther north, and this, I believe, comes a little farther north. But it actually flows better to just have this be, as it's kind of designed within the parking lot, that it's a roadway through there. And it's before you get to the pump area on that. So it actually, by moving this slightly south, improves that. You still have this access in then from that turn point, whether you're making a left in or a right in, that still will be there. Like I say, when the engineers get further in design, this is one of those places that, depending on how tight that is, they might not have some of these stalls in that exact location. That's why I don't want to guarantee that there's 9, because things can shift on that.
Oh, that's fine.
So.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second. Is that good, Marcia?
Yeah, I just,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
Motion carries 4-1.
So the question was brought up about cost. What Tim intended to be at this meeting tonight, but he let me know this morning he double booked and had another meeting to go to. So he wants to come in November with a cost share agreement for the city to review, which would break out the costs. The costs change depending upon what you do from an aesthetic standpoint. For example, I know that the roundabout probably will take 10 lights. And then we've talked about internally about a light at Swan where there's a crossing, at Echo where there's a pedestrian crossing, at Bald Eagle where there's a pedestrian crossing, and then at where Pioneer is, Pioneer and 3. If you do standard lights, the county will pay for that. If you do decorative upgrades, whether that's the shape of them, the look of them, the height of them, whether they're gonna have a tall illumination light for traffic safety and then a back pedestrian light, again, sky's the limit, so to speak. That incremental upcharge is what the county's gonna pass on to us as the city. And to give you an example of what that means, in 2000, we worked with the city of Crosby, and if you've been in downtown Crosby, decoratively, they have both decorative lights and the standard MnDOT light. And I'm going to show this real quickly. So that's the MnDOT standard plain light. This is the decorative light that they did with a banner, a flagpole, an outlet on it for Christmas ornament. They have a couple of plant hangers as well. So that incremental upcharge from that pole to that pole is $7,500 a pole. So 10 poles, $75,000, just on lighting.
But he's going to have those kind of numbers for us.
Right, but keep in mind, Dave, if when you're talking about the cost share, some of the things, the county would love a very plain boulevard, because their goal isn't to enhance the beauty of Cross Lake. That's something that's happened organically with the Cross Lakers and the residents to consider. If you do just boulevard and sidewalk, the county is going to pay a base cost there. If you enhance with, and I'm not saying not to, if you enhance with colored concrete for a boulevard instead of grass,
right. That's all
this,
upcharges.
it's all going to be an upcharge. So we ran just some numbers. If you did all decorative lighting upgrades based on $7,500 more a light, if you did the colored concrete in the medians and the truck apron, that's around the roundabout. If you did the stamped concrete with an integral color in there for the 3 or 4.5 foot boulevard off the back of the curb to the sidewalk, you would be, upgrades would be probably close to $350,000 in enhancements at that point.
But Phil, you're talking about like the absolute, top of the line for
Exactly.
everything, yeah. But
That
there's a middle
is
ground.
up here.
Okay.
That's if you, so then if
Where do we sign?
if you go back to the county, base one, it's nothing. So that's why I'm saying when he comes forward with a cost share agreement,
Yeah, we get that.
it's got to be somewhere here, or in between. And the other aspect of it is he'll also then be able to provide you what the roundabout costs are, which should be 100% county and FLAP grant. We also got that pedestrian mobility, that transportation alternatives money. That is supposed to go towards the sidewalk, towards the RRFBs. We think it goes towards a standard light over those crossings. So there's a large amount of money that offsets the city costs, as I understand it from the county engineer first. And then there's the stormwater quality, which we've heard tentatively that Soil and Water has money to throw at that. So I think Tim will be coming at the next meeting with something to kind of put dollars to it, as well as these concepts you're hearing.
Good.
So.
But I'm assuming you need to know about the that turn-in lane, and you need to know about the the space to be, we're asking for it to be reserved.
Yeah, the access is just something that has to be done by the city. The county won't.
Yeah.
Right.
Tim won't step in and do that without this. If it means everything to the county going forward, if there's this support from the city saying, yeah, we can close that access.
Okay, so that one's been done. The next one is a motion
And
to,
maybe you want to hold off until after next month's meeting then.
Well, no, but
you want to look at that signage on the corner of the chamber? Do you want to reserve that, or at least show support?
It would be just, that would be setting aside the area for a gateway feature. That could be a motion that then directs the engineers to do that direction.
The area by the existing chamber sign, flagpole, Paul Bunyan's feet, that's a great spot.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, and it's kind of shown in your gateway photo, we actually do need to put a stormwater quality feature over there. So we're talking about a rain garden just to the south of all those things, where it's grassy right now, similar to what you saw at the log church.
Why couldn't we put a sign out of the middle of that feature?
You could, or you could put it on the backside or whatever, but I think that where the sign, the flagpole, the feet prints, that's a good location that we haven't looked at touching at all.
So do you want us to show support for that corner now, Jonathan, or do you want to wait? All it to do is tell the county that.
It actually, that would be good to have support for.
I would
this.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, this is actually a piece that Bolton Mink had put together to show this as a part of their presentation that last Friday. And it's actually what you would be seeing there if you actually put the city signage in that gateway area. So that's the area we're looking at there. So
does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we reserve space by the chamber building for a welcome sign.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
You got more done than you thought.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys, City Council and Mayor, for supporting the enhancement of the project here and investing in the future of Cross Lake. Thanks a lot.
Well, Jonathan, thanks for all the work you've done.
All right.
I think we should, I think we should put Alden in charge.
Where'd Alden go? All right, the next one, we got the short-term rentals is coming up. Who put that on the agenda, just out of curiosity?
I did.
Okay,
Just because I think we need to get back to it, just as kind of a friendly reminder.
so is this meeting just to indicate if there's an interest to, or are we gonna get into it?
And you and I had talked about it last month, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to see where everybody's at, again,
Well, we,
refresh.
you know, we have a public hearing. Do we want to discuss short-term rental tonight? It makes no difference to me.
We
I
don't
don't,
have to.
I don't
just
need
wanna
to
see where
dig into
everybody's
it
at.
deeply, but I support it
Okay, yeah.
entirely.
I just want to see where everybody else
Yeah.
is at. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool.
To discuss it someday?
Yeah.
Yeah, to get on it.
Sooner rather than later. I'd like to get that.
And we'd like to know when you and
Aside
Jerry
for
are
next
going to
meeting.
Hawaii so we could schedule that meeting.
If you want to pay.
Okay, so we've got some interest in doing that. We're not gonna take up time tonight, though.
Don't need to.
So we're not going to discuss it
No. We're just gonna agree to discuss it.
in November?
I would say at the latest,
We
yeah.
just get so much.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not, we'll be here till 10 o'clock if we get into that. Okay, city administrator report.
Should we do the public hearing first?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shar.
Well,
What's that for?
didn't want to cut off Jonathan.
Okay, I can kick that part of it off if you want.
Okay.
So, staff has put together, you know, over the past few months, we looked at the condition of our roads, and council direction was to put together a road plan with the idea that the first part of the road plan is to, okay, let's identify the condition of the roads, you know, rate them with the pavement management system used by Bolton and Mank. And then what should we do with that once we rate them? Well, the idea was, let's first identify the roads that we can actually do something with next year, meaning 2024, to preserve them, to make them last longer and get the maximum amount of life out of them. So what Phil's team has done is they put together a list of the roads, and he's got a short presentation to talk at the public hearing what the process is. And the idea of this was to let's put a road plan in process, let's have a public hearing to give the council options on how to pay for it. So the way that it works is when we do a chip seal or a seal coat, you know, we consider that maintenance and that we budget for that annually. And the problem is that budget's growing, and we need to do some things like reconstruction on roads and overlays. And so by having a plan in place, it allows the city to go ahead and issue bonds to implement the road plan for the overlay and reconstruction process. Without that, if you want to go issue bonds for it, you have to go have a referendum, have a lot of public hearings, and then, or you can just go through the normal assessment process and have that debate. This just gives you another option to pay for those portions under the statute, under statute 457.58, which allows you to issue bonds for overlays and reconstruction without having a referendum, and you can move forward with your plan. You don't have to do it, but it gives you the option to do so should you choose to. The last time we did that, I believe, was Manhattan Point, and that was the end of our last road plan, when we were able to issue bonds against that and just get it done. The other way you can pay for roads is you can just pay cash for them. You can generate levy dollars and budget each year and just pay cash and just do them. You can have roads where the abutting property owners petition for them and say, we agree to be assessed for our roads, please issue bonds so we can get our road fixed. You can have an assessment project driven by the council. We did that last year for the first time, where a 4/5 or a supermajority of the council agrees to do an assessment bond. go ahead and just basically force the project through and assess it, and then have a 3-2 vote on the ultimate amount that's assessed. So the road list is in place. Phil is here to, I think you've got some overheads you can put up on there on the process, on how that works. And, you know, this would be the public hearing portion of that, to say, yep, this is the road plan, and this gives us another option to fund it. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, so this is, again, this is a requirement. It's kind of like if you've been through the 429 process for assessment, we need to take public input on this. You need to consider public input when you make your decisions. So just going to quickly go through stuff. These are the stuff I'm going to present. Here's the background. You had a road plan in 2018. It was a mixture of 4 types of improvements: reconstruction, full depth reclamation, mill and overlay, or seal coat. Not much got done on it, primarily because a lack of support, quite frankly. It was opposed. Whenever we'd bring a road project forward, it'd be proposed by a number of the constituents. And it just, not much got done. So then you retained us and said, let's get a new plan, let's get something we can do. So we adopted, we started working on this plan in March, we got it done in August. We tried to engage the Public Works Committee as much as we could. We had a lot of interactions with them, scaled it down to a group of Tom Swenson, the Public Works Chair, Pat, Mike, and I talked through all these things, came up with a plan. That plan then was recommended for approval by the Public Works Committee in September, and now it's in front of you and the public to get comment. So essentially how we did it was we reviewed the information you had from 2018. The roads were rated in 2018 to start the other plan. We went back out, we conducted a rating 5 years later. So this year, we didn't look at anything that was already beat up and bad because our goal was pavement preservation. We used a simple system of just reviewing the surface, going out and physically walking or driving the area. And the reason we do that, it's a very meat and potatoes approach that your city staff can do. You don't have to hire me to do it, or a consultant, or software or anything. It's a visual condition that tells you what kind of improvement you likely need to do. The thing we did is we knew we didn't, the question was asked, well, which streets are more important than others? Which ones carry more traffic than others? We didn't have time or resources to do traffic counting, so what we did is we did contributing parcels. We looked up all the parcels in the city, and if you can imagine, there's certain streets, you're not a typical lot and block city like maybe you would see in Crosby or Brainerd. You have roads that go to nowhere, roads that meander. But out of that, you can determine that segments like West Shore Drive, Daggett Pine Road, Daggett Pine Bay, Manhattan Point Boulevard, these are all roads that get a lot of traffic. So they have the potential for a lot of cars that contribute to that traffic flow. We assembled a pavement improvement areas, and then we estimated costs. And again, our goals were to prioritize pavement preservation. And in simplest terms, no different than your house. If you have wood siding and you stain it or paint it, you know that in 5 to 7 years, you've got to fix it. If you don't fix it in 10 or 12 years, it's not just staining it, it's replacing it. Same way with your roads. You want to seal coat them or you want to overlay them, you want to protect them so extend the life. The other goal then was to try and go about $1 million a year. The pavement conditions are just determined. This is used by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. It's a rating system, 1 through 10. If you're in 1 to 2, you got really crappy roads. If you're 7, 8, 9, 10, you got pretty good roads. The improvement that goes along with that is if you're at 1 to 2, 3, 1 through 4, you're spending a lot of money to repair a road. If you're in that 7 to 10, you're spending the least amount. The city's done a lot of seal coating in the past with Crow Wing County on that basis. So here was what we found. We didn't rate anything greater than a 4 because if in 18 it was already a 4, it's even worse now. 55 miles of road got rated. 14 of the miles was 7 or greater, which means it's probably a seal coat candidate. 14 miles was a seal coat candidate. 34 miles were in that mill and overlay on a straight 5-6 rating. 5 miles are 3-4 rating, 2 miles are 1-2, which would mean these last two categories were kind of the expensive reconstruct. Again, we were choosing to take the rating that we found, estimate an improvement cost based on that rating, estimate the traffic use in the contributing parcels, and then we targeted seal coats, mill and overlays. So for seal coats, we would target doing the 7s first, and then in the next year or two, the 8s, and the next 3 or 4 years out, 9, and 5 years out, the 10s today. The idea being 8s, 9s, 10s have the most life left. Mill and overlay, we prioritize the 5s first, try and get those back to good, realizing with the 6 we have a little bit of time. This is probably an important part of this for anyone that's kind of looking at this. Any segment that was 1 through 4 has no place. It's not located anywhere on our plan. They're do nothing, and essentially we view they're either going to be petition-based, or if the city has a utility improvement, they would get improved.
So that's not part of the miles budgeted?
Right.
Nothing?
Anything 1 to 4, anything that's a full-depth reclamation or a full outright reconstruction is not in our plan. The 5-year plan, it's $6.1 million over the next 5 years based on 2023 pricing. It improves and preserves 37 miles of road. So this will be a little bit tricky when you do the math, but in this plan we get over 33 miles of seal coat done. We get over 17 miles of mill and overlay, and you'll look at that and somebody smart will go, that's more than 37 miles. Well, the city's policy is once you pave a road, so if we mill and overlay it, then the next year we'll seal coat it. So you have mileage that gets kind of added twice on this. Again, there is no full depth reclamation or reconstruction in here. We think that that would be by petition. I was talking with someone before we walked in here. They asked about their road, and I said, that's not on the list, and they had just kind of indicated, well, when you come by, we're an offshoot road. We'd like to try and hire that, get in that contract as well. I think that's what we think will come out of some of this as well, the people that, and our whole thought is, prior to this, somebody would say, let's get a road done, and then we would get it would seem like a majority come in and say, we don't want you to do the road, or we want you to do the road, but we don't want to be charged for it. We think with some of these roads that are more costly, if people are coming forward with petitions to get it done, there should show more support for doing the work. Give the city a better, I guess, feeling that there is support to do this work. So again, this was part of a requirement with this funding that we do this public hearing, that the city consider adopting a road improvement plan. So the next steps is you would take
public comment.
Public comment, and again, when we have public comment, I say this, people should state their name, state their address for the record before providing their input. Then it's up to the city to determine whether they want to proceed with this plan. If you decide you want to move forward, our first task would be we would get with Crow Wing County. We would take the 52 segment areas that we've identified, or 11.5 miles. We'd get that in conjunction with Crow Wing County, and that would be part of a project next year that we estimate based on what the county charged us this year would cost the city about $406,000.
Phil, is this the public hearing right now?
This is the public hearing.
And have the roads that we're planning on improving next year, have the people on those roads been notified?
No. Nope.
So why would they be here to give their public opinion?
I don't think any property individually has been. It's just been noticed that there's this city is considering a 5-year plan for doing roads.
Okay, it just seems a little odd to me that we're not a little more specific.
That's because we're not
Naming roads yet.
We're not naming anything.
Okay.
We don't have a
Yeah.
Is Harbor Lane on the 5-year plan at all?
No.
So,
Because that's a reconstruct.
Because that's a reconstruct. It's something the city can take it on. There's an element of it that could be a mill and overlay, but then there's the other part of it that's
so
a
Phil, with
reconstruct.
Harbor Lane,
You have it on your two.
What's that?
Harbor Lane is listed on here, but it's not in the total.
It's not in the total. It's Because we talked
we
about it for
want
so
to
many
or not.
years, I'm like, what do you want to do with this one? But
You
It's not
can,
part of the 5-year plan, the 6.1 million.
if you want to put it in the 5-year plan, it's listed as optional. I included it in the resolution accepting the plan. You don't have to do it. And what we're trying to do is identify the roads in the order in which they should receive that level of work and provide you financing options to do that. It doesn't mean you have to do it.
So you've included in that,
I included
in
in
the
the resolution,
resolution,
is not included
the
in Phil's total number.
762,000.
Correct. You can do that as a separate assessment project, or you can include it in your 5-year plan and handle it that way. It all depends on what you want to do.
It's going to be, well, I shouldn't say this, but it should be assessed.
yeah,
Yep.
I think that's, you're bringing up a good point. We're trying to figure out a plan where we can get some of these roads done and preserve the pavement. But yeah, you lived it. There's lots of pushback whenever we try and assess.
Right.
Not that you shouldn't assess, but just that,
And that's
maybe then,
That's reconstruction, and I don't know
Right,
if we can
that's-
get monies for the trail that we would like to put alongside it.
yeah.
Is there monies out there for
For
trails? Yeah. There used to be,
Competitive.
But I think that maybe we're
Competitively,
overloaded in trails.
you can try for those. You can.
Do we have to wait for public input at a later time, or is this the
I
time
don't
for
know.
public input?
I'm not as
This would be
familiar
the time.
with this particular
The public
funding.
hearing was posted that we are
So
talking
we'll open
about.
this up to public
Right,
comment.
that's
here.
We've
the
been
next
talking
step.
about it for several months now.
Let's open it up to public comment. Does anybody have anything for this?
Is there anybody upset their road isn't on there?
They're not even listed. All right, we'll close public comment then. Well, I know, but the public, they don't know that.
Well, it's my understanding, that 5 years ago, this was attempted and nothing really happened, and I'm sure the roads are in worse condition now because of that, and I just think it's our responsibility as part of the city council to make sure our infrastructure, our roads are taken care of, so that's just my input.
I agree with Sandy.
Is that your motion?
No, I think we already approved the plan, didn't we? Or not?
We have to make
Wait.
a decision to move forward. Yep. So yes, I move that we move forward with this.
I'll second that.
Do we need to delineate that motion a little better?
Yeah, you've got a resolution in there. There's a resolution, it's item 3.
Yeah.
Under that.
Isn't that all we have to adopt, or?
You would adopt the resolution as stated.
Resolution adopting a street reconstruction plan.
And
Okay, I move to approve resolution number 23.
I'll second.
And again, that includes Harbor Lane, but you don't have to do it.
Well, we don't have to do any of them,
Correct.
right?
Right.
We're just
When you
approving the
decide to
bond.
do them, what you would do is you'd pass an enabling resolution, and that would be your trigger to tell staff to go work with the bond council to figure out what this is going, financing is going to work.
How do they schedule the bonds over a 5-year period? I mean, in your resolution, you have 6 million, up to 6 million, because that's the total cost of the 5-year plan. How do you schedule?
Well, what
the
you do is you
bonds?
look at rates and you get the best rate, but we typically try to do is go do an average life of the bond of somewhere between 7 and 10 years. So sometimes, depending on the rates and how much you issue, you plan it for that.
Yeah.
You also
So-
take into consideration other projects. So you can, kind of like we did last summer, we did those bond issues and we did what we called bifurcating the proceeds between like fire truck, road projects and road construction projects for the sewer and that.
But if we adopt this resolution for $6 million, saying that we can bond up to $6 million, what is the deciding factor each year, what we're going to bond for the road projects?
Well, the deciding factor would be as detailed in the 5-year road plan.
I mean, are we going to stick to the schedule and bond for that amount each year? Is that the process?
That's
Is
an
that what
option.
you're?
That's an option the council can consider, yes. Now, some of these projects, people might want them to move forward so quickly, they'd be willing to be assessed. That's usually not the case.
But this is saying that we have a plan. We don't have to count on assessments.
That's correct. This gives you another option to pay for the roads.
Because if we were going under the 429, we'd be having public hearings on that particular road and the assessments.
That's correct. The other thing that can happen is there may be roads that are in here that are not identified or scheduled to be done soon enough, and residents may want to petition the city to get them done sooner. Those are not included in here. as Phil mentioned.
Are we going to assess at all? Is seal coating considered maintenance?
Seal coating is considered maintenance.
Mill and overlay and new construction are the two assessments we have.
Yep.
So we would still take into consideration if somebody's on year 4 and they want to be on year 1, we would consider that? Then we're ousting out some that are, or is it going to be based on just the rating? Sorry.
Again, if someone wants to move their road up, there's nothing that says you can't do that.
Yeah, but why would you take another road out of it with the same rating when you've got it in year 1 and put year 5 in there?
Well, you wouldn't. This is the engineer's best
you're
estimate
adding-
of that rating.
You're going to add to the project then?
You can always go back and amend your plan. Say we're updating our plan. Well, the county does this every year. They put together their road improvement plan, they hold a hearing on it, then they provide their promise to their taxpayers what they're going to do. Again, if there's something in here that's so compelling that you want to change next year.
There isn't for me. I'm just asking the question in case there's someone there that wants their road done now.
And that's exactly the reason we're having this public hearing, to take that public comment.
But there might be people that weren't paying attention and then they find out later that maybe they should have came.
I can't speak to that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve resolution number 23, was it?
Yes, F-23.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, all in favor.
So now city administrator's report?
All right, thank you. We're on item E1. Kurt Stump, superintendent from Pequot Lakes ISD 186, is here. He answered a lot of questions about the referendum. He had asked for some of your time tonight to talk about the upcoming school referendum and make himself available to answer any of your questions. All right, go ahead.
Mayor, council members, thanks for having me. I think, Mike, you gave me an hour, so I'll try.
Sure.
I really,
Don't let this bother you.
the presentation wasn't included in your board packet, so I don't intend to go slide by slide through it. I guess if it's okay with you, Mayor, maybe a couple, 2 or 3 minutes of some highlights,
Yep,
and then open up for
absolutely.
questions. And again, the point of being here is just to make sure that you and our public is aware that the school district is having a referendum in November. And so this isn't the only opportunity to ask questions, and I would just encourage you and members of our public to email me, call me. I'm willing to meet for coffee, willing to meet with groups that want more information. So that's the whole goal of tonight, is at least make it public so people are aware. And you should have gotten a mailer recently, if not the past day or two, in the next day or two, that we had sent out to inform our community. But either way, we have a good problem. I think us and the Cross Lake Charter School are growing schools. And for the first time for the Pequot Lake School District, K-12, we're over 1,800 students. And again, we've been steadily growing every year between 1 to 3% growth, and we're going to continue to see that. And it's really unique that we're seeing it at our high school level especially. We have growth at all levels, but our high school the last 2 years just has seen more growth than we've ever had, which puts some greater needs on us. There's the maintenance and roofing and parking lots, some of the same stuff that you likely deal with at the city level. And then we also have our career and technical education. That's a school term, but basically that's our woods, metals, robotics, culinary arts. We're seeing greater demand from our kids to have spaces that work for them, that give them actually job experience at school. And so we're talking about adding on to our career and technical education, as well as remodeling some of those spaces. And I'll give you a couple examples that we don't have a robotics space, even though our robotics team is outstanding. They learned how to code and engineer and collaborate and work together and market. We're making it work and throwing them around in some classrooms that aren't conducive for them. We have 2 culinary arts teachers and 1 old culinary arts space. So we're trying to make it work, even though we might have 2 classes that go on at the same time and 1 space to actually cook in. And then we look at some other of our needs. We have teachers on carts, which means that they don't have a home base, that they go from classroom to classroom and just try and fit in where it works, especially at our secondary campus, which is located in Pequot Lakes, that houses grades 5 through 12. So we've got those projects. We've got an auditorium that is also in the plan, remodeling our current auditorium to make it a large common space, which is lacking at our school, and then building a 750-seat auditorium, which right now we have a 325-seat auditorium. As well as early childhood spaces, we're seeing a greater need in our community for us to provide programming for 3- and 4-year-olds, as well as some wraparound care and outdoor spaces. We are in a lack of fields and outdoor spaces on our secondary campus because we are landlocked, so the city of Pequot Lakes has agreed to give us or sell us $1 for some acres of land within the city to build 2 baseball, 2 softball fields. So this plan was presented to the board last January after about 60 community members looked at a bunch of needs and wants and got rid of some of those needs and wants and came up with this plan. So voters in November will see 2 ballot questions. First ballot question is a $500,000 10-year capital projects levy, which will pay for technology and district vehicles, buses, vans. Not only will it pay for those, which we have expenses in there, it'll also, if question 2 passes, it'll also offset some of the operating costs, because we are a lot like you, my guess is, that we operate on a really conservative budget. So if question 2 passes and we add a bunch of square footage, we have to have dollars to pay for that square footage as well. So question 1, 10-year, $500,000 capital projects levy. And then question 2 can only pass if question 1 passes, and that's the $76.5 million bond. 25-year bond is what the expectation is from the board, although we see what the bond rates are and go into that process later. But we can talk about all those things that we just named off, our needs that are included in the bond. But also worth noting is that there is a tax impact, of course. So I encourage you and our voters to go on patriot-vision.org. You can use our tax calculator and actually see the impact for your specific properties. And so I know it's been useful. I've had a lot of people come up and at least credit us to say thank you for at least being upfront and transparent, because we know there's a tax impact. So I don't want to get into averages, because averages in all communities are a little bit different. But voting has started. I will put absentee ballot applications in the back for anybody who wants them. And they're also available on our district website as well. I think with that, I've said a lot. I'll pause and turn it over to you to see if there's any questions.
So you can't answer a generic question. If my house has got a value of $500,000, it's a residential home, what will the taxes go up?
I got a $400,000 home.
Okay.
is about $25 a month, or $300 total for the year, for $400,000.
And that's at the $500,000 bond or levy, or is? No, but the $500,000 levy or the 76
That's
million.
combined.
Oh, that's for both questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, that's what people want to know. What's
Yes.
it going to cost?
Yep. So if both questions pass, if my household home was worth $400,000, I'd pay $25 a month, $300.
And if
for
it
the
was
year.
800, it'd be $600 a year?
$800,000 home value, it's $55 per month.
So So it's actually down a little bit.
$660 per year if I did
Yep,
math right.
That's what it is.
Being an old math teacher, just,
So it's conceivable that question 1 would pass, but question 2 would not?
it is a possibility that question 1 passes and question 2 doesn't,
Right,
yes.
which would reduce the cost per household.
You are correct.
Okay.
So just to get this clear, so that the $76.5 million bond over 25 years is going to increase the $800,000 home $55 a month.
Correct.
Do you have the calculation for the 500,000?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. Just in case.
No, but it's just kind of a, yeah.
It does break it up, I believe, on patriot-division.org on that tax calculator.
Jackson, what do you think it costs for you
We
to go
can
to
find
school?
out on that .org page.
I talked to you at the meeting, so I don't have any other questions.
I really like that, what you're expanding to the arts and the
Technical.
trades.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we, just real quick, I mean, we have three and a half teachers just for our trades, woods, metals. We build a house. We've got some robotics and some other trades that we do too. And it's just, we got okay welding spaces. They're not great, but then we've got other stuff thrown in there and other tools that it's just not working for our kids. And again, it's cool that they're demanding those
right.
opportunities from us.
Kurt, good luck to you.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
I sincerely mean that.
Yes, I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, item 2 is a memo from me dated October today regarding our health insurance renewal. I will point out there is one allocation item on my memo. It should say, instead of employer 20, it should say employee 20. So that's my fault. It's employer-employee 80-20 split. Minor error, but the rest of the numbers are correct. So Harlan Johnson, and Keegan is here to provide support, right? To talk about our health insurance renewal. And rates have gone up about 6.3%. The year prior to that, we experienced about a 5% increase. And we're kind of at the bottom of the rate increase from what we're finding out. So go ahead, Harlan.
Yeah, it's hard to call 6.3 a deal, but it is. There's a city not too far from here I'm working with that just got a 30% rate increase. There's a school district somewhere in this county that got in the 20 range. So for better or worse, 6.3 is not a blessing, but it's a good rate. We're recommending that you pass this as presented for 2 reasons. Because there is a change involved this year. IRS guidelines have dictated that the lowest deductible with an embedded deductible plan like yours, I'll explain that in a minute, is $3,200. So the old $3,000 deductible we have has to move up to $3,200. We haven't had much movement over the last 4 or 5 years because of low interest rates. Inflation is hitting everybody. It's hitting the healthcare industry, and the IRS has implemented the latest rise. Health savings accounts, that's kind of an oxymoron when you listen to what I'm about to say, because you're supposed to be a savings account, but the plans that they work with automatically go up in deductible. It used to be every year. Now we haven't had an increase in deductibles for maybe 6 years. But we got it this year. And the reason I said there's 2 reasons. Number one, 6.3 in the scope of things happening right now in Minnesota, much less central Minnesota, is a good rate. And the other issue, of course, is for unions. And this represents the least amount of changes to those people that are going to have to sign off on it. So it's, and that's the deductible change. So right now, I'll explain the embedded deductible. You have a $3,000 single, $6,000 family, and it has an embedded deductible. That $3,000, if you're a family of 3, the first person to hit $3,000, God forbid they hit it at all, but it happens, they go into coinsurance, which on your plan is 100% right now. But otherwise, employees with a family would have to meet $6,000 if it wasn't embedded. But this plan is a $3,000, $6,000, and the $3,000 is embedded in the $6,000. So 2 people don't have to meet $6,000 before they go to coinsurance. It's the first person to reach 3,000, I'm sorry. So it's been nice these last few years, even though there's a lot of jockeying and demands and work that Mike and his staff has done here with the unions. But we haven't had to change that deductible. That's what it's been negotiated, for better or worse. That's what we've got negotiated. Your negotiations open up next time, I think next fall, sometime in 2024. They go for a 3-year period. You don't have to acquiesce, but if you don't, it's a mess. I didn't mean to rhyme that, but...
You're not giving us a lot of options here, Harlan.
Yeah, I wish there was. It's the fact that there's really only one change is going to be an easier thing to deal with the unions and say, hey, look. And on top of that, it's IRS mandated, so it precludes any collective bargaining agreement, any state or local law. It's the feds. And they've said the lowest embedded deductible on high deductible health plans, which is what you have to have an HSA, is $3,200. So from a city standpoint, you get a little relief in that area that you're getting, I don't know if it's help, but you can increase that deductible. And on the other hand, it's something you'll have to negotiate with the unions. So, 6.3% rate increase. We suggest at this point that you accept that, move on. If you want to battle the unions, that's up to you. I shouldn't say battle. I said work hand in hand with our collective bargaining. Is that how you do it?
We can accept this, and then we talk to the unions about what we're willing, because in the union contracts, it says that if we're not causing the change, if we're forced to change, that they have to pick up any additional expense.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Thank you, Marcia.
Well,
that's a little optimism anyways.
So
it's still a lot of money.
I'm just wondering if even if we say, yeah, we're going to go ahead with this and accept this, there's still that piece of the puzzle where we have to discuss it with unions and decide, because they should, technically it says the employee will pick up the increase in those union contracts if the insurance company, if it's not anything that we did, that the city did.
That's why we made a point of discussing that it's an IRS mandate.
So then we have to determine what we want to do as far as with the increase and the deductible to the health savings plans. That's set at 3 and 6 until the end of the contract year, 12/31/2024. So that won't change. That's not going to change for us, but the increase is something that we'll have to talk to the union about.
Right, and that language is included in my memo. I took that exact
Yeah.
right out of the.
Yeah, I'm
bargaining
just,
unit.
I'm
They're all the
just
same. Yep, we have
making
to
sure
notify.
that everybody understands that this increase is, it could be all theirs, or it could be 50-50, or whatever the council decides on, that it's, whether, when we adopt this, doesn't mean that we're saying that we're going to pay the bill.
Okay.
So the short story here is the only thing that changes is the deductible goes from 3,000, 6,000 to 3,200, 6,400. Nothing else changes.
Doesn't sound like we have much of a choice.
Isn't there a monthly change in the price?
Well, there's a monthly change in the price as stated, but with respect to the benefits provided, the same benefit level. The requirement is the same level of benefits. If you're changing that, what's covered, what isn't, going from embedded to non-embedded, changing the nature of the plan, that's a whole different story, and that's really what we're trying to avoid.
But this monthly change is for the same plan.
That's correct.
I'll make a motion that we accept the health insurance renewal with the 6.3% increase rate. Rate increase, sorry.
Okay, a motion and a second by Sandy. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, all in favor.
I think we should contact our labor attorney on this matter too. Let her know.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and staff.
Harlan, thank you.
Thank you, Keegan.
Keegan, you got to be up here next time. Harlan, you got to throw him to the wolves one of these days.
You want to hang around here?
Well, yeah, our friend Dan Miller is presenting.
Okay.
Okay, item 3 is another memo from me on, I think this is good news. I recommend that Jake Meyer be removed from his probationary status. His job performance has met expectations, and I believe he's an asset to the city. I have no areas of concern in his work and recommend that he be placed on full-time regular status. This was also the recommendation of the Public Safety Committee at their meeting held on Wednesday, October 4th.
Is there any comments?
I move to approve.
I'll second that.
Removal from
Okay,
probation.
discussion. Have we settled on the wage for the police chief yet?
No.
I wonder why we haven't. Is it just,
We have to have another
in-
Waiting to hear back from Joe, weren't we?
We heard from Susan. We have to have a meeting with her.
Yep, and be advised, these are two separate issues.
Yeah.
One's independent of the other.
Well, how can he be, we haven't determined his salary, so does that affect whether or not he's on probation or not?
Nope.
No.
When we do approve it, it goes retroactive to July 13th.
right,
Okay.
regardless of when.
Did you talk to Susan about it? Because we can't.
I can't.
The rest of us can't, but did Aaron, did you talk to Susan about taking him off of probation even before the contract has been signed?
I saw no reason to contact Susan about this, no.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm
How about
just
you, Dave?
curious why,
Did you?
no, I didn't, and I'm curious why we haven't done that, but.
Well, I agree with you on that salary. And she did send us out an email and then said she was going to be contacting Joe again on some part of it, and I can't discuss that.
Didn't she ask if we were all in favor of it, or if we weren't in favor of her, whatever, to let her know? I think that's what she said. She was going to proceed with. Maybe I was reading something else.
Get that?
Maybe I was reading something else.
Okay, well, we've had a motion and a second.
Something wrong? I'm not saying I didn't.
I didn't hear that. I didn't read that either, Jackson.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Let's get past this one. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, all ayes.
All right, thank you, council. Item 4 is a memo asking for council approval for the memorandum of agreement entered into between the City of Cross Lake and AFSCME Council 65 under the collective bargaining agreement to add the new position and related pay scale for the administrative assistant. That I understand is doing a fine job for Jake right now. Council's already, the business agent and the union has already approved this. The timing was such that we couldn't get it on the last council meeting, so this is what you're seeing now, and this is what you've already agreed to.
Move to approve it.
Just what I said.
I second.
Okay, any other discussion on that?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
She's doing good, you guys?
Yeah. I've gone in and talked to her. She's, yeah.
Can't even begin to describe how awesome it's been.
Let's leave it at that.
And just everything that's been great, and the things she's brought to the table, it's been great.
Awesome.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
No, you.
Okay, item 5, it's time again to start thinking about GASB 75, and if anyone has any questions on that, please see Marcia.
I welcome it. Bring it on.
Okay, I'm just kidding. So what GASB 75 is, it talks about other post-employment benefits, which are basically our all our benefit plans other than pensions. So in our case, we have health insurance and dental insurance, and what that does is it looks at how long an employee's been here, what they're being paid, what benefits are eligible on retirement, and we go through an actuarial calculation to figure out what that might look like, that future liability could look like, and it's updated each year. And so this year, for this next reporting cycle, the fees for those services are roughly $4,400. They basically give me a data shell, and I do the legwork, and then they do the actuarial computation, and then we go back and forth and say you missed that, or you should have done this part of your contract changed, this is a new one, and we hammer that out and they issue a report. And it's kind of weird because you look at it saying, well, we have to look at it at the end of our period, but the calculation period is forward-looking, and that's what the actuarial calculation does. The last time we did this, the fees for those services were about $42.90. So what we need to do is approve our agreement for those services with, they used to go by Hildy Consulting. They were purchased by USIGC, which is a national company, but they're still local to us. They're based out of Bloomington. So there's actually two parts to this. One is the actual agreement. Here's we're going to do the work. And then the exhibit to that agreement is the fees for those services. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. And if you have any questions, and if you're still awake after this council meeting, I encourage you to read pages 57 to 61 of our most recent audit report. That'll tell you everything you want to know about these plans and how much they're valued at. Okay?
Okay.
Marcia, approve it, approve it, approve it. Come on. Come on.
Come on.
No, I'm not gonna.
We were close.
Do it.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract and the fees related
Second.
to GASB 75.
Okay, second.
Second.
Marcia beat ya.
Seconded.
Oh, I know. Sorry.
Any other discussion on it? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Last item, number 6, that was one of our additions. I had a conversation with one of the supervisors from Ideal Township. Everyone knows where the Ideal transfer station is.
Yep.
And if you remember, a few years ago, we used to have recycling here. We had a recycling agreement with Cross Lake Roll-Off. They basically did it for us. That went away when the county consolidated things. So now what's happened is this has nothing to do, to my knowledge, about recycling, but Ideal Township Transfer Station has seen quite a bit of activity over the last few years. And what they're looking at is making some improvements to their facility, and they're in the process of starting to look for ways to fund that. They're not asking the city for any money, but what they are asking for is some type of letter of support or resolution once they complete their grant application to Sourcewell to essentially construct a new building to house their staff and their administrative area for the transfer station. So what they've asked me this afternoon of is, would you be willing, they've asked me to meet with them later this week, either Thursday or Friday, to say, here's what our plans are, can you guys get behind it as a council and support our idea? And once we have our grant work, we'll work with them, not do the grant for them, but then support.
What is the benefit to Cross Lake? I'm not I missed that part of it.
Well, the benefit of Cross Lake is when your refrigerator dies and you need a place to put it, they'll take it.
Oh,
So it's going to include Cross Lake citizens?
It'll include, if you take things there, absolutely.
And there'll be
They're
a
asking
fee, of
for-
course.
For a fee, just like they do now, but they're asking for our support in the form of a resolution or a letter from the council saying, we support your effort to obtain funding through Sourcewell to pay for our building. They're not asking us to write a check out for them. They're asking for support in the form of a letter
So
or
the residents
resolution.
could take it down to the Crow Wing County landfill, pay them, same thing. The transfer station is close.
I thought you had our property and Ideal to use it, but, okay.
I've used it in the past, and they've been good about taking things. I've never had an issue.
Yeah, they have a fee
Mike
schedule.
is going to meet with them Thursday, Friday of this week. Does anybody have any interest in going to that and seeing what they're looking
If there's a
for?
time that works for you, if you remember, when we were doing the recycling, the reason I brought that up is there was a council member liaison to the recycling. The last one that served in that position was Gary Hecox. If any one of you would like to meet with me, I can set that up for sometime Thursday.
I already talked about too much garbage. I don't need to talk about more.
That's a profound statement, Jack.
Have at it, Mike.
What's that?
Can't we just say we'll give them a letter of support?
I'd still like to know what their plan is and come back and present you with what they're looking at and say, yep, we support it.
So that will be on the agenda next month.
If they have that pulled together, yes, but they'd like to share their plans with us.
Where are you meeting him? Thank you.
We'll meet at City Hall.
Okay, I'll go.
But she's got to go Thursday, so.
It's got to go Thursday. I'm leaving Friday.
What time would you like to meet Thursday?
Oh, I don't know. How about 2 o'clock?
2 o'clock is perfect. I'll set it up.
Okay.
All right.
All right. That's all I have.
Who's here from the ED8? David, are you going to take that? Oh, Carla, you're going to?
Yeah.
Good.
You've been hiding back there on us.
I've been trying to stay awake, guys. I'm joking, sort of. Okay, so as many of you may know, we, the EDA group, completed their first survey ever for the city of Cross Lake. And so just as a reminder, as to the purpose of EDA is to help the business community to retain, sustain, and grow, is that working right? Grow our local businesses. So this survey was conducted over the summer for both businesses and consumers to get feedback as to what's working and what other businesses are needed to serve in our city. So we got good results. So this was done over, have any of you seen the little flyers all over town? Okay. This was done over Memorial Day through Labor Day, so almost 100 days. We also did some Facebook stuff, and consumer survey had 5 questions, the business survey had 7 questions, and for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through all the results, but I'll give you highlights. And by the way, we did this in conjunction with Bladec, so Bladec's representatives are here as well, if you have questions for them. So the top consumer needs were found, number one, more retail options. That was 30% of the responses. Second, nice, healthier restaurants. Third, Chinese or Mexican restaurants. Fourth, Uber shuttle. And fifth, more recreation and entertainment. The full report is in your packets, by the way, but I'm not going to go through the full report. So the top opportunities and challenges from the business survey is number one, staffing, which is no surprise, and two, opportunities, want to see more growth. So as a result of these responses, our EDA committee has decided to create a task force called the Cross Lake Business Consortium. So that would be comprised of business experts that are local or have a vested interest in our community to help plan the business future for our community. And by the way, the responses, the overall, if I can just summarize the flavor of it, this is a flourishing community. The businesses are doing great, but there is opportunity for other businesses that are needed from the consumers' feedback. So the CBC, that is the new consortium, will have a board of at least 5 people who will commit to rotating terms and have a regularly scheduled meeting. So that group will be responsible for offering mentorship, consultation, and resources for existing businesses and new businesses wishing to locate in our community. And then in your packet, as I said, there is all the specifics. You can see the responses and so on. Now, Haley from Bladek is here, so if you have any specific questions that you would like to ask, she's available.
Well,
go ahead. And Sandy's been a part of this, so this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are you going to identify the new businesses or, I mean?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put together the CBC. So that's going to be consisting of at least 5 individuals that have business expertise and care about the community. So with that group, there will be a plan put together from that group as to how we're going to identify those businesses. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we had kind of gone down that road of deciding how we were going to do it, and then we decided, no, we're not going to decide.
Let the experts do it.
Yeah, let the experts decide.
And how are you going to find these individuals that
are... The 5 people?
Yeah.
I know, you keep asking me that, Sandy. Well, we're going to put an ask out there. So first thing is the results are going to be out on the chamber website as well as the city website. And the ask is going to be plain and simple. Are you interested in contributing to the welfare and benefit of our city?
Yep.
And then I'm also going to go knocking on doors.
Well, I mean, appreciate the efforts that were made, to try to.
Well, I think it's great. This is the first time we've done this. Mm-hmm. So it's a good place to start. And the intention is to do it year over year and see what our needs are and to really gather that information. There's a lot of.
When you figure out what a need is, how are you going to implement? What's the end game?
Yep. So we're going to put together this CBC task force that is consisting of at least 5 individuals to put together a plan to go and potentially market to these various opportunities. So find an Asian restaurant that may be somewhere else and say, look, people are saying they want it. Do you want to come here? That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And this whole survey is available on the Cross Lake
It will be.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not yet. Tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep. Do you have any questions for the survey specific gal?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carla.
Can't wait to see what you come up with.
Who's representing the public safety? Is anybody doing that?
Well, the animal control is going to be Jake.
Jake?
Yeah.
We got first of all, thank you for take me off my probation so we can move some other things along, and that's why the agenda was a little vague, because we didn't know exactly where we'd be moving that direction. First thing I'd like to talk about is animal control. We have never had animal control, as far as I know, at least since I've been here. We've never had any sort of actual animal control for the city of Cross Lake. That being said, the reason why I'm bringing it up is lately, when we get calls of somebody finds a stray dog, a lot of times we just say, you know what, we don't deal with that. We don't have an animal control officer, so we tell them to take care of it themselves, or maybe hopefully they'll find its way home, bring it to the local vet, and they'll check to see if it's chipped, you know, microchipped, and we can find an owner, or they can bring it to Hart or Babinski and drop them there. Speaking with the gal from Hart, the animal population, especially the dog population, is at like the highest peak it's been in years and years. And she said this happens a lot. She's been at it for 37 years.
COVID did it. Everybody bought a dog in COVID.
Right.
Now they're over it.
Could be. So I guess what I'm getting at is we can't do what we used to do. And every now and then we would take a dog. If we had time, we'd take one to Babinski's, and we couldn't do it. Or we can't do it now. We used to be able to. They're full. They won't take anything. I asked Hart if we could bring stuff to her. She said not without a contract. She requires everyone to have a contract, and that does a certain number of things. It actually reserves kennels for dogs. Like, we're guaranteed to have a spot. We'll never be turned down if we have a contract with them. This doesn't mean that I'm looking to go out and every stray dog we're gonna call the dog catcher for and bring them down to the dog pound. And we're gonna operate essentially the same way we have. The problem we have right now is, for emergency situations, a serious dog bite where we have to, especially if the dog owner is not being cooperative, we can seize that dog and quarantine it. The 10 days or 14 days, I believe it is, that we need a quarantine dog after a dog bite if they're not vaccinated. We have nowhere to do that. We won't be able to do it. Or just a dangerous dog. For example, there is a stray dog and somebody finds it, you know, it made it into their backyard that's fenced in. And it's the most vicious dog you've ever seen. How do we get it out?
Shoot it.
Short of shooting it. That would be the only other option, right? Or we've also had people that should be, or that are going to jail, and they have a dog, and we've tried every avenue to call family or somebody, and we've got nothing. So then it leaves us, well, what do we do with this person or with this dog? You know, there's been times where we just didn't even arrest the person. I mean, we still charged them eventually, but maybe they didn't go to jail at night because we had no other option. We can't just leave a dog out in 80-degree heat, you know, with no care.
So they won't come and get the dog. You
So-
still have to be responsible for.
So here's the other part of that. If we do the contract with Hart, the Mike O'Brien, who does the Lakes Area Wildlife Control, he does this. He contracts with other cities. He has actual contracts where they pay him, and he's going and picking up stray dogs all the time and bringing them to Hart and this and that. I'm not asking him to do that. I didn't think our city would need to do a contract with him, but he agreed to let us pay him on a case-by-case basis, and the fee would be like $100 if I had to have him come up here, and because I had somebody that was placed under arrest, needed to do something with the dog. He'd come up here, take the dog, bring it down to Hart, it'd be about $100.
How often does that happen?
I would say it wouldn't happen more than half a dozen times a year at the most. It's just really not, but we have no other options, and I believe a city like us needs to have an option to take care, to put these animals. So if you look at the back of this contract, I mean, it basically, I don't know if anybody has read it yet, but basically we're taken care of. And for the $1.50, the administrative fee is $1.50 per capita based on the 2020 census.
So that's, in this city, is $3,600 a year?
$36.57 would be the contract
Lucky
per
guess.
year.
I have to ask because I don't know. Where's Hart?
It's down in Brainerd, right by Menards.
Oh.
I don't know if you ever go that way to Menards, but that, you
Never
take
been
Wise
there.
Road and then that little, yeah, right next to General Rental, Applebee's, it's right down that same road.
So we would have to run the dog
We don't.
to
That's what we
Brainerd.
could call Mike for.
Oh, you call Mike.
If we,
So then we'd have to pay him to run the dog, though.
yeah, and like you asked, that, we wouldn't do that more than probably half a dozen times a year, probably.
So why wouldn't we forget Hart and just call him?
No, he can't bring it to Hart without this contract. They won't take a dog.
And he has to have a facility to take it to,
Yep.
especially if there's a bite
If we don't-
involved where there's potential rabies or anything like that.
If we don't have, and he's separate from Hart, he's totally separate from them. But if we don't have this contract with them, they won't allow him to bring dogs to him. And he's got a key, he can come in after hours and do it, but they won't allow us to do
He
it.
doesn't have a contract with him, huh?
Him? He has a contract with other cities. The cities have the contract with Hart. We
In
would
other
have the
words, he's
contract
saying
with
we
Hart.
could contract with them, but we're choosing not to for cost reasons. That's what I'm.
Right, we could have a full contract with Mike and this full contract with Hart.
But Mike is willing to just do it on a.
On a
per
case-by-case basis, because we're not looking to, unless you guys think differently, and we should be picking up every stray dog and calling him
But
every
he
time.
won't do it on a case-by-case unless we have a contract with Hart.
He can't,
He can't get in
Because
the
he-
building.
because he has nowhere to bring them.
He can't get in the building.
So we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. We really have no choice.
So worst case scenario, we pay $375 and we never have to use it.
Correct? I mean, it would be used, it'd be utilized a little bit, but it doesn't matter how much we use it.
Yeah.
At that point,
So if you have a dog, you gotta call up Mike, he comes, gets the dog, he hauls him down there for $100.
correct,
And we pay $3,700 a year just to have that open.
just to have that open. But if we don't have it, we have no choice. And I feel we could be opening ourselves up for, go ahead, Aaron.
I'm assuming the $17 a day if the dog's not claimed, that cost also comes back to the city, or is that included in the contract?
That's what it says.
Yep,
Huh?
yep.
We pay it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Okay, I'm just,
So that,
we all hear.
I'm really not seeing this happen, because like I said, we're not gonna be running stray dogs down there all the time. We're gonna, I would prefer to operate the way we've been operating.
That's not a bad deal.
I think you should just continue to do that.
Until we need it, until we have a dog that bites somebody and it's not vaccinated and we have nowhere to put it for 14 days. Or until I need to arrest somebody and I have no other option. And that's happened.
It just happened the other week. That's what we had that conversation.
Isn't there a pound, I mean, a humane
That's,
society?
that's it.
That's it. We've never had a contract with one before.
That's correct.
What about the vet clinic? Will they take dogs? They won't? Or whatever that is, that pet lodge thing out there.
Pet Lodge, no. See, the problem, if we even asked them, was to bring a dog into Pet Lodge, they have to have all their vaccination records and all that stuff. So where do we get that? Yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
They won't
All
allow.
right. I didn't know
They're
that.
pretty strict.
And I don't think they want aggressive ones either.
No. I'm just saying we really don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And that's basically because Babinski's is full. Nobody, Cass County is bringing dogs down here because their dog pounds are full. That's just, the dog population right now is way out of control.
So with this contract, we're guaranteed at any given
Yes.
moment 4 spots, 4 slots?
Yes. I honestly, I don't foresee utilizing Mike more than half a dozen times a year. I mean, there's been times when we needed him. He helped us on one, it was a guy on, east of town on Bonnie Lakes Road, left the house, he had like 4 or 5 dogs. One of them was really vicious, he couldn't get a hold of it, he left it there. But the thing would bark and howl every night, so all the neighbors are calling in. I couldn't get it, we couldn't get close. I called Mike for help. He said, I'll do it, I'll help you out. Because he knew we were in a hard spot, even though I didn't have a contract with him. We didn't pay him for it, he did it out of the kindness of his own heart, and he came and he caught that dog in about 3 hours in the trap.
Well, will Mike only come and get the dogs if we have a contract with Hart, so he has somewhere to take it?
Correct.
So can we just have him pick them up and we don't care what he does with them?
Yeah, exactly. We'll pay him an extra $75
I'm sure
just to
there's
make
some
it
people out
disappear.
there.
Be careful. We're going to get in trouble here.
No, I'm joking, of course.
He only made it about a mile, then we looked behind and.
See, can I ask a question about, can we, if we're not under general consensus here that we want to do it, could we just put it on the agenda next month and then I'm sure we'll hear from the public? I mean, I don't think.
From the public after this.
Yeah, we will. I'm just thinking that if we're.
I was joking for anyone who's listening.
I think we should, I really think we better quit the conversation and put it on the agenda for the next month, unless everybody's in agreement that we want to go with the contract now.
That'd be up to you
No
guys.
more comments.
That'd be up to you guys. I certainly don't, I mean, I don't think we haven't had it yet, and that's mostly because Babinski just in the last couple months has been this way, so I doubt something's gonna come up in the next month, so that's really up to you.
I'm not opposed, I'm
Right.
just.
No, I understand.
This is the first I've heard
Yep.
of this, and
Yep.
I didn't know how we dealt with stray dogs. So
Correct.
I would,
You wanna look into it?
I would like to have it put on the agenda next month, and then we take action on it. Unless you have to do it tonight.
Well, you don't have to do it tonight, but I think you
Why
have enough
not?
information.
I
to
was
make
say,
a
let's just
decision.
get it done and
The
let
other
the dog
thing you
lie.
have-
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this contract with Hart.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion?
There is $1,515.02 of animal control fund balance left over from how we used to do it, so we've got a lot of it funded.
Good.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries 4-1.
Thank you. Let's see, where are we at? The next one would be, so we posted a job for a full-time police officer, I think a month or two before Chief Lee retired, and in July, and well, we would have posted it, I think, either May or June. And we got our first application about 3 weeks ago. 5 years ago, we would have had 100 applications in a week, but it's just the nature of law enforcement and the amount of available people right now that want to go into it. So that being said, we got our first application, and 2 days later, I got another one. Out of those two, and after talking with references, one of them we're not going to interview, and the other one we did interview. And he's a nice young man from Bloomington. He worked for a year with Bloomington PD, and he decided that he wanted to work up here. We found out during the interview that his parents moved up here from Winona several years ago, so, and he wanted to be closer to them. So there's kind of a tie to the community. Like I said, we interviewed him. He was a very nice young guy. He did really well. And the Public Safety Commission recommended that we offer him the job, and it'll be a conditional job offer contingent upon a successful background check, medical exam, psychological, drug tests, and all that stuff that we have to do. So I guess what I'm asking is permission from the council to go ahead and offer him that conditional job offer, and I'd like to get him rolling. I think we could get him up and running almost right away.
Should we wait till you have all the tests, the background check done and everything before we?
We got to make sure we do that first.
Well, you can just make it contingent.
It's contingent upon all that. That's the normal way that it's always done.
Yep.
So,
I'll make a motion that we give this guy a job on contingent job offer.
Yeah, I second that.
What is the scale where you're starting them at, or have you decided that yet, or?
that will be kind of a.
That's going to
to
go
cover
to
that,
the
Mike.
labor
Yeah,
attorney,
well,
the union.
Like everything else.
How many years' experience does he have?
A year with Bloomington, yep, yep. Which
And
is pretty good experience.
I don't mean this to be out of line, this question, but does he have a place to live?
That would be, I'm sure if his parents are here, that's why I think he could
that's
come
a
here right
problem.
away, yeah.
It's a
Parents
problem.
live up here, so.
Yeah, I think he didn't seem to have any concerns about it, so I don't know what his plans are, but
Yeah, I mean, I just hope that 6 months from now, that's not a problem and he's going
Right.
to leave because he can't. So, okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
thank you. That'll be nice to get him going. All right, and now that you guys are gracious enough to take me off probation, I feel like I can move forward with the next step, and I would like to ask that we promote Officer Tony Marks to the position of sergeant. Tony's been riding along with me since, I don't know, I think he was about 16 when he started doing ride-alongs with me, and did those for a couple of years, and we almost hired him right out of high school, pretty much, because he had his 4-year degree by that time. But he was young.
What he was hanging
really
around
young.
here
He's still-
for.
Tony's been with us. He's been for 6 years now, since 2017. He's been doing an
I
awesome
fully
job.
support that and make a motion to approve.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Yep.
Wow.
Is there a second? Did you do that? All right. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Well, thank you very much, and if you guys
Congrats,
don't,
Tony. I appreciate it. Yep.
if you guys don't mind, I'd like to take just a moment, if you don't mind, to pin a new badge and some stripes on this
Absolutely.
collar.
Have at it.
Tony, come on up. Jackson, this is what was it. Or something different, these are a pain. Get that one back. Get that one somehow.
Shake hands.
This is very exciting. I love it.
Jeopardy.
Is it true, Tony, that your dad used to be a cop over in 50 Lakes?
Yep. He'll tell you the stories if you ask him. Unsure. They did it different back then.
Wasn't a lot of stray dogs running around then, were there?
Well, if there was, we knew how they dealt. They are, Sergeant.
Congratulations.
Council, thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it. And I know Officer,
Keep up the good work,
not Officer,
Jake.
I know Sergeant Marks does too, so. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
We sent to the labor attorney as well?
I think you have something with the attorney. I think we need to contact Susan and get a meeting set up.
One of Aaron or Dave, you guys need to.
No, let's readdress, let's look at that.
What?
I did have a conversation with Susan. Should we do that before Peter?
Let's just get Peter done first, and we'll do it as new business.
Yep. All right, Peter, what do you got?
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Before us is item 3 on the P and Z is address 34561 County Road 3, Sundown Holdings Incorporated, final commercial plat to subdivide parcel of 30 acres of limited commercial zone property into 12 tracts. Attached is the final plat in your packet. The preliminary plat was heard by the Planning Commission on our August 25th meeting and was unanimously recommended to the City Council for approval. And what we'd be looking for is an action request to approve the plat as recommended by the Planning Commission on August 25th, 2023.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the plat as recommended by the Planning Commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion on it?
No?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
All right, thank you.
Are you done now?
The next
done?
one is the Parks and Rec dedication fee concerning the subdivision. And there's a memo in the packet to the City Council from Parks Director TJ Grauman. The Parks and Recreation Library Commission met on Wednesday, July 26th, and made the following motion regarding the Sundown Holdings subdivision application. Park Director.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
And the Parks Director has seen no need at the moment to pursue land, and a motion to accept cash in lieu of land was passed by the Parks and Rec Commission, and nobody voting in negative on that. So we're looking for a cash in lieu of land for this. So, and we would be looking for a motion on this as well.
I'll make a motion to accept cash in lieu of land.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That was on Sundown Holdings.
That is, yep, Sundown Holdings. And then the next agenda item is just an informal update on the accessory structure standards. Last city council meeting, council directed me to go to the planning board to talk about some of the accessory structure standards for the buildings. Right now, what they're looking at doing is possibly proposing to require a conditional use for accessory structures of a certain size. That's the direction Crow Wing County has taken on it, and it seems like it's a good route to follow on that. So what that would do is have the planning commission, they would have to hear each individual request on its own merit, and then you have opportunities to offer potential design changes or locations on the properties. So that's where we're at with that right now. We're having a workshop on that at the end of this month at our regularly scheduled planning commission. And then we're also going to do a ride around to some other places to see what had changed a couple years ago on the accessory standards to the 24-foot building height as well too. And we're going to look at some of those projects and so those design parameters. If you have any questions about it, I know there's a lot of discussion about it. Always feel free to reach out to me at the office if you'd like to discuss further. So that's where we're at with that. So that concludes the P&Z report. So if you have any questions, please ask.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
Patrick?
Phil is next.
Throw Phil under the bus.
Before you, I've got two items. They're attached in the same letter, but this is the CSA 66 sanitary sewer extension. We talked with the contractor. There is a change order in here that we never got taken care of at the previous applications. That was the painting, the curb painting and the pavement marking. The county requested that was done late in the project, and so it was an item that wasn't paid before. So that amount for that, that's the yellow curb painting and the arrows that are on Daggett Pine Drive and also on CSA 16. So portion, decent share of this is actually the county's, and we do have the pavement marking. Also, if you remember, the project was only going to disturb one side of the curb and gutter. So any of that original layout that had curb paint on it would be the city's part. But then in the project, the county also then decided to do the other part. So we would separate those out and go back to the county to seek more funding.
So is this 5,500 bill, is that for the whole project, the whole painting?
That's all of the curb painting and the pavement management and the pavement.
The county is liable for a portion of it?
A portion of it. I think, guessing at least 50% of it or more.
Okay.
We have to go back and look at the photos before the project to figure out how much of our original curb had paint on it, how much of the didn't, and separate it out. So we're seeking to get that added to this first by doing the change order, and then we'll request you consider the pay application number 7.
Okay.
You need a motion on that, Phil?
Wait, we need a motion to accept the change order.
Okay.
And it's just we didn't get the pay app that in with the original quantities.
I move to accept the change order number 5.
I'll second that.
Is that the only one you're asking for? Or is
That's
there
the only
another
change
one?
order. Yep.
Change order is 5,581.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So then, in March, we did pay application number 6, and at that point, we had the manholes, the turf wasn't coming in very well. We had a sanitary sewer service that we were concerned had a plug in it. And so we held back 2.2% of the retainage. Our contract was originally for 5%. State statute requires that we reduce that when we're down to only a few items. We reduced it to 2.2%. The contractor has got the issues with the sanitary service taken care of. We've been working on this manhole issue. There's 3 manholes that are low, and we have been trying to get the contractor to raise them. They've been unable to raise them without cutting into the pavement, so we've been dealing with the county. The county refuses to let us cut into the pavement and adjust those manholes. So we just found out kind of no more discussion on it with the county probably about 3 weeks ago. So then we requested the contractor give us a deduct per each of those manholes because they didn't do the job right. So they're deducting each of those manholes $2,000 to essentially be done with it. The basis for our $2,000 is eventually, I believe the county's going to say the road's deteriorated enough where we can do this. We can cut into the pavement. So you're going to be removing a little bit of pavement, raising those, and paving it back. And we think $2,000 each covers it. So it's a total deduct in the contract of $6,000 that the city would see to put that item to bed. And then finally, I don't know if you've looked over by Simonson Pond and stuff, but it's really greened up. We have been pressing the contractor to come back. They came back and slit seeded. We finally got some rain, some nice weather, and it really popped. So we're comfortable not completing this project completely or closing out because they still have one item left. They have 1 more year of warranty on the ponds. They have to do pond maintenance on the Log Church pond, make sure that they clean that up, or that if there's any plants that die within this warranty period, they have to replace those. So we're comfortable lowering it to 1%, which is still holding back $22,600. The amount we need to pay out yet, the 2-year warranty is a $15,000 item. We've paid half, essentially. So we're getting down to the very end, but we're just not comfortable closing this contract until it's completely done. So,
speaking of the Simonson Pond over there, what's going on with that? Why are these guys over there?
We've been having them instead of dealing with the contractor because we're getting a lot of water from Simonson's yard into that area, and we probably should have realized when we were putting this together that side water coming in, the pace at which that water comes in, it's overtopping, and none of that turf is establishing, so it's blowing it out. So we worked with the city staff instead of the contractor because they would have charged a lot more money for the riprap to put that riprap down there and armor that. And then in so doing it, we've kind of figured out that it has drain pipes in there to drain down. Those have silted in, so then we just opened them up and cleaned them out so that the pond drains down. So we've been working with city staff on that.
I see them over there quite often.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, they've done a great job.
Hopefully we got it all taken care of.
Yeah, there's just a load of water that comes in that pipe, but it just comes from that site as well.
So the contractor put it in the way you designed it, and it just is not handling it.
Correct. And I think if it had seeded up quicker, it might have handled it better, but I'm not sure it would handle it in that little space we had to work with. There's just a lot of water that rolls into that from not just our pipe. It gets there quick. And I don't know, we haven't had, since we've done this project, I don't know if we've had many soaker ravine events. It seems like everything comes quick and just inundates. So the nice thing about it, I will say, because been very frustrated with how come we can't nail this one, but what I can say, the purpose of this project was to keep, part of it was to keep the stormwater from going into Cross Lake. And that whole segment, there's not a drop of water that goes into Cross Lake. It all goes across the road and down into that low area. So we are having erosion issues that we're addressing, but we're not directly contributing to the water quality demise of the lake.
And the water going to the low area, it's handling it
Yep.
okay or not?
Yeah, very
overdoing
well, very well. That is sandy back in there. I guess I haven't heard anyone complain about it. I know Simonson has questioned why we keep going over there, but we just remind them that we're just trying to get that slope figured out. So I'd recommend approval of this payment. This should be the last partial. You probably won't be back until this time next year to final out the project completely.
So you need approval for the $35,655
Yes.
and 45 cents? Also move that we pay that.
I'll second it.
And then the balance is going to be 22.6?
The balance, yeah, that's all that's left to pay on this project is 22.6.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
You are Johnny on the spot tonight.
I came out of the gate slow.
Okay, public forum. Cal, we got a lot of people coming up for public forum.
We've got.
Peter, I better read this thing. Action mayor may not be, huh?
We're not done.
Oh, we're not. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Thanks,
Item
Pat.
B.
Sorry, Pat.
That's fine, that's fine. First one is, the Public Works recommended that, we restripe Anchor Point, because I had one of the residents down there saying that it hasn't been striped for many years, so the cost is right around $5,500, and when we do that, we're gonna do Roberts Street, right where that 190-degree bend is. On Roberts Street, there's that one sharp bend there, because we've had a lot of complaints about people cutting the corner there, so we're just gonna have a quick jump over and do that at the same time.
Has Anchor Point ever been striped since it was redone?
Probably not,
I mean, it must not have been,
no,
because it's not that old.
no. And they can still get it done this year, so we just need you guys to approve it, and it'll be here in the next few days to do it.
Jackson.
I approve the striping of Anchor Point Road.
Can't think of the name of the company.
I make a motion
I
to
can let
approve
you
the
know
striping.
tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
He's one, it's a Ken, whatever his name is, you've talked to him before, he does the mastic and everything. All our crack sealing.
Oh, yeah.
You talked to a lot
He's
of
doing,
people.
Sandy made a
Yes,
motion, I'll
Chemical,
second it.
that's the name.
Sandy made a motion to approve, Aaron seconded it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, second thing is, they approved the purchase of, the new snow pusher. What happened there is the original one was like $12,000, and they came up and they said, they got this one for $89.50, but we have to pay for it right away. And talking to Mike, we have money in the budget to pay for it, because originally we weren't gonna pay for the one until after the first year.
Yep.
We just need to have you approve that.
I'll make a motion that we purchase the snow pusher for $8,950 and pay it up front.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
aren't we going to
Opposed?
discuss? I want to discuss.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yep.
Where's the money coming from? I think we ran into this before where we got the money, but then it gets taken from somewhere that, is it being taken from Public Works Capital Outlay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
That it? Okay,
Okay.
all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And the last one is up on Manhattan Drive. We're redoing that driveway for Bill Sharon. Dad will be blacktop tomorrow, and then we'll finish the riprap after that. So we'll put a wrap in that driveway.
Okay,
That's all I got.
thank you, Pat. Public forum, action may or may not be taken on any issue raised. If council requires more information or time for consideration, the issue will be placed on the agenda. Speaker must state your name and address. Peter, come on up.
Peter Graves, 14131 Sugarloaf Road. I chose to come up simply because you had the talk about the economic development group and the survey that was done for how to keep growing the city or make it attractive to others to come into town. And I thought the council should know about something that happened last week and apparently the year before with pickleball. There was a group of 20 people that came into town last week, spent a full 6 days in town to play pickleball. 2/3 of them were from the Twin Cities, 1/3 of them were from Colorado. They chose to come to Cross Lake and stay at hotels, eat at the restaurants in town. This year, when they came back, they went on pontoon rides on the lakes and did some biking. And it was all because we had some pickleball courts. And when they came to last year, the members of the local community were friendly to them and competitive with them, and they enjoyed it. So they chose to come back a second year. I just thought the council should be made aware of that and how we are attracting people to come to our city.
The forecast was very good, Peter.
Well, it was.
If you build it, they will come.
It worked out well in this. I figure on an easy basis, if each one spent about $1,000 in hotel accommodations, restaurants, gas for their cars, that's $20,000 that came in last week and the year before.
Were we able to accommodate all of them?
We were able to accommodate them and work with them. They had sent a Facebook page that they were coming into town, so we were able to make sure we had the space and talked a little bit about why they were here. And in fact, we have an article coming out in the paper next week, hopefully, that just shares this with the full community that this happened. So I just thought the council should be made aware of it.
Thank you.
Wow, fantastic.
Does anybody else have anything? Jerry, come on up.
Jerry Volts, 37668 Moan Beach Trail. I think we've been dealing with that sign long enough. I mean, the cops can even tell you there's not even a light working on it now, on the city sign. We're going downhill. I think what we have to do is direct Mike to get it done, to have somebody get that sign done. 3 years should be long enough. Man, the door don't work at the fire hall and they're there the next week putting in a new one.
Yeah.
This is just ridiculous. It makes the city
So
look
the
bad.
northbound traffic, the light doesn't work on the south side of the light?
None of the lights are working on there. They aren't. And when I go into coffee in the morning, I circle back today to make sure. They're not on, not a one.
That's first I knew we had half of one out, but I didn't know.
They haven't been working for a week and a half, any of them.
Okay.
And I don't know, either the woodpeckers ate the letters off the other side or something. There's no letters on there.
Did Dave and Jackson put up?
I think it's time to get it done.
We're not
Set a
having council
deadline on
meeting.
it, get it done, or somebody's gonna have to
My
stand
only
up for
question
it.
to that is, do we want to entertain changing that sign at all?
No,
Changing it for what?
No?
no,
Why are you nodding your head, yeah?
no.
Why would we
Not
change it?
changing that sign.
Well, I mean,
What would we change? What is to change?
No, we're not changing it. We're putting letters on the north side, and I think we should, I'm not making a motion again. I must have made half a dozen motions to put those letters up. I know we got the letters. I don't know why we won't put it up, but
Mike, I'm going to entertain a motion that you get the sign done by the end of November.
I second that.
I'd like some discussion on that.
All right?
No.
Pat will get the lights working. I think he's already agreed to that. But I recall 2 council members volunteering to get the letters on the sign.
if the council member gets hurt out there, it's a whole different story if a staff person does versus a council person. We do not have to have a city council person going out there and putting letters up on the north side. Get it done.
any other discussion?
We do have workers' comp insurance, by the way.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All in favor.
Way to go, Jerry.
End of November.
Okay.
And did we order letters last time? I forget. Where are we at?
He's got letters.
You have the letters?
We have some, but we have to go through them and see what's broke or not. and
I think we were, I think,
They're all used. Yeah, they're all.
but you can just paint them if
gotcha.
they're that bad.
They're all there.
We'll
Well,
go through it and then.
I
we'll
think
make a
in
determination.
April, we had asked to have those letters put up, and you said the first nice
You were gonna
day.
look.
I'm thinking, there's been a few nice days. And I'm not trying to, I'm just a little upset that we keep
The
making
letters
motions.
for the one side that are up came from High Tech. So we don't have matching letters for the other side.
Well, how about
I
we?
mean, we're just putting
No, sure, why don't we?
garbage up from the old sign.
Sorry.
And we're not even going to make it match on both sides.
How do you
Why
know they
can't we
don't
have a
match? Do they
decent
match or
sign?
don't they match?
I think
Well,
for sure
contact-
the sizes are different, a little different.
Will we even be able to tell?
Stop.
Okay, I want to end it.
Like looking decent.
Can we contact High Tech and have them order the same pair? What'd they say?
They don't have any more. They didn't tell us where they got it.
Well, then let's order a matching set and tear down the other side and get them matching. I'll make a motion that we buy new letters and have matching sets, tear down the old side and have them matching by the end of November.
That's asking a lot.
I'll second.
I'll second that.
Okay, any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Pat, will you give us an update at the next council meeting? Let us know how it's.
Oh, yes, we'll have something figured
Just
out.
end
Okay.
it up.
Okay, well, we don't have a city attorney, so we won't get that report.
I have something, as long as we're at city attorney, I think it's appropriate. Did you share the list you got from Susan on attorneys in Crow Wing County?
No. Did I forward that to you?
We got it.
She sent a list.
I got it, right.
Yeah, she sent it.
Yeah, she
Right.
sent a list.
You were copied on the email.
Yeah.
City
Okay.
clerk was. No,
A week ago.
A week ago.
Week ago.
But I was,
I looked,
I was.
that's why I didn't send it
I-
to you, because you were
Well,
copied.
I was informed that it was to the papers. I think we have to make direct contact, and if you'd send out RFPs to all those city attorneys on the list in Crow Wing County, that would be wonderful.
Mike, did you already send out RFPs? I thought you did.
We published a request for RFPs in 4 different places.
Okay.
But Susan looked up
papers.
in our area and had a couple
And in the
names.
league.
Does that mean it's not going to be done?
I did not receive an email
Okay.
from Susan regarding
If you would-
city
if-
attorneys.
Dave, if you would forward it to the city clerk so she could send out RFPs to everybody on that list.
I'll have to find it here.
It's right here.
I don't see it.
It's right here. I will. I will. I will.
Okay, can we move on?
Sure.
Does anybody have any old business? New business?
Got it.
I have got some new business. I did have a conversation with Susan. Aaron, I believe, correct me, and I know you will, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you stated that Susan did not want the entire council contacting her.
I'm not the one that said that.
I said that.
You said that?
I said that.
Okay, well, I talked to Susan, and she denied ever saying anything about that. And then she listed to me the number of contacts that she's had, and it was not very many.
Okay.
And I'll tell you something that I've learned about Susan is when anybody contacts her, she sends out an email to the entire group stating what the contact was about.
Yep, we get a blanket email.
So, I mean, I really appreciate that. But I would like to go back to the motion where Aaron and I are the only ones that are able to contact her.
I have no problem going back to that.
Well, I want to get rid of that one and open it back up to the
Right.
council
Right.
to be able to contact Susan.
That's fine. I can reopen it.
That'll be a motion.
I'll make a motion that anybody can talk Susan, or do I have to reconsider it first? That we will reconsider the motion that only Aaron and Dave can contact Susan.
I'll second that.
Okay, now what was that motion?
Reconsider.
Reconsider, taken away?
Yep.
No, to reconsider it. Now you can make a motion. If this passes.
Okay,
now you
well,
can make a motion.
there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries all in favor. Now I'm going to make a motion that the whole council can contact Susan, our labor attorney. And hopefully everybody will be respectful about it, but I think we all need to have that.
That's fine.
Door.
I'll second that.
Okay? Any other discussion on it?
I just to, I got an email from Mike about the union acceptance of the drug and alcohol and cannabis testing policy. The Teamsters had a concern, and their concern was forwarded to Aaron and Dave. So the whole council is supposed to be a part of the labor thing. So I'm not understanding why just Aaron and Dave, and that would be okay, but the rest of the council is not getting that information. I don't think that's right.
Well, let's deal with this motion that's taken place.
I'm trying to get you to vote yes.
We're going to vote
I made
yes.
the motion. I think you got my yes vote. So this motion is going back again that the whole council can contact our labor attorney. We got a motion, we got a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed?
Can I
guess
respond to that question, please?
Can I? Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
The response was, the Teamsters replied to me with a question about it. Susan needed to reply. So I forwarded that question to you and to Aaron so that you could ask Susan.
Oh,
And I did not.
I don't think I did. I don't think I understood
So I'm
that.
waiting for a response.
Well,
That is what was said.
Okay.
well,
That it wasn't sent to Dave and Aaron to do something. They needed to ask Susan, the attorney,
Well, we didn't.
about
so
the
it,
One of us
Teamsters.
understood that.
maybe we should be clear that when something has to be addressed to the unions, it goes to Susan and just be done with it, and then Susan can send us all out emails if,
Absolutely.
to say, if the union, this was a Teamsters letter to the council? No, to you. So then just, if they're asking, what were they were asking, they don't like the drug and alcohol policy that we adopted?
Yes, they had issues with it. No, they had legal issues with it. Legal issues
That says you can contact her?
that I couldn't answer.
Okay.
So I
Don't get
sent it to our,
upset.
so I needed the labor attorney to look at it and answer their
Oh,
attorney.
that's unfortunate.
See,
But
the way
that-
this is written, I assumed that it went just to Dave and Aaron, and they didn't do anything with it apparently, so.
Well, now we're all
This is
back on
so
board to
messed
Susan.
up.
Misunderstanding.
Back on board to
So,
Susan.
An extension of that is that the entire council is the personnel committee. So if anything's going on, the entire council needs to be aware of it. Does that need to be a motion?
No, we already
No.
established that.
All right.
And I guess I had a misunderstanding when all prior months ago when Susan was getting frustrated with all the calls, so I'll take that as a blame, but.
Okay, well,
No big deal. It's big of you though, Jackson.
we're back to square one.
Okay.
Can I ask another question under old business?
I don't know, Marcia, you're kind of,
Well,
You got 10 minutes.
2 minutes.
I have another question about our drug and alcohol policy. Who decides who does the random testing? Who decides who gets random testing, or don't you do that? Or you just have a policy and nothing's ever done?
We work with Mid-Minnesota Drug Testing in Brainerd, and they're also located in St. Cloud and Little Falls. And they pull random names. We give them the names of our commercial
So we do have a
drivers.
third party
Yes,
that's doing it?
correct.
Okay, all right. I wanted to make sure.
Jackson, I think.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for being picked